by the Guinea Pig Collective. All will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome back to another collectible pass. No, we're doing going old school. Suckered you on that one. What's going on, everybody? We're getting ready to talk about some of those wonderful franchises from the past that so many of us grew up with and we still love today. And the reason why some of these franchises are still able to make products based on those original franchises because of the longevity they had, the connection that they had with all the fans of those franchises. And join, of course, we are by the lovely Trina from Real Hard. Trina, how are you doing?
I'm well, happy to be here. Looking forward to this stream.
It's a pleasure to have you. We're also joined by our UK representative in the way of No Soy Pedersen. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, Tommy. Yeah, everything should be all right, but I'm having a little bit of trouble, I think, with the internet connection. So if I get cut out again, but hopefully not.
No, that's okay. It's going to make it feel like it's 1999 with a dial-up. So we are also joined by Steve. What's up, Steve?
I just got home from fishing.
Nice.
Yes,
I got to ask you.
Shit.
I was going to say, did you catch a whopper?
Well, technically I caught some, but it was just too small for eating.
I think you're roboting a bit.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it at all, Jens. It might be just on your end. We are also joined by Decepticon King. What's up, man? That's okay. He'll be with us momentarily, guys. We're getting ready to start off. In case you didn't notice the title over there, but before we even get to that, let's say hello to people in the chat. Man, I am jumping ahead. Superfan Adam Shawhan is in the chat. Hail the chat. Trina on the panel and in the chat. And we got manliness and motivation transformed like Optimus Prime or like Bruce Jenner. It's not going to be Bruce Jenner, I'll tell you that much. This pick doesn't deal in those kind of transformers, but yeah, we're going to talk about some of that old school stuff that I love so much, guys. Remember to go ahead and share the links out there. Let everybody know that we were going live because YouTube absolutely hates this guinea pig. I still am and probably always will be the most hated guinea pig on YouTube. So I decided I've had enough. I tell Uncle Bollywood to go screw himself, and I take my fun somewhere else. Because if I'm not having fun and I'm being irritated by them all the time, it's going to come to a position of I'm just not going to do it on this platform anymore. But I want to get rolling with some of the fun stuff, some of the stuff that I remember from a kid. Some of the stuff is the reason that I got into this franchise so heavily and started collecting. And I know not everybody was a humongous Transformers fan, but I know there's many of you out there. And it doesn't make a difference whether it was Transformers, whether it was He-Man, whether it was She-Ra, whether it was Barbie. Jesus, Christmas. I don't care if it was My Little Pony. Whatever it was your chosen franchise of choice. You know exactly the type of mentality it was to be that kind of fan. You were almost ravenous for more every single time. And that's how I was with this franchise the minute I got involved, when it was Microchange and then Diaclone, and then eventually when it was rebranded into the Transformer. My love for this franchise has never ended, no matter what kind of crazy shit Hasbro tries to do with the more modern incarnations. I am always going to remember fondly my starting point with this franchise. And I want to get into a few of the ones that I have in my collection still to this day. I mean, some of them I had when I was younger, they got stolen, and then I reacquired them. But we're going to get started with a couple right here. These ones I did not have in my original collection, and I was oh so happy when I was able to pick them up much later on. Here we go, transform and roll out.
Transformers, more than meets the eye.
Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome back. We've got our good buddy Cliff Jumper here, the master of the Transformers. And of course, you know what that means. It's Transformers related. So what are we showing off today? We're going to be digging back a little ways, and we're going to go back to 1987, and we are going to be talking about Duocons. So, first up, we have flywheels. These ones were pretty interesting. What they were is they were auto-converting. So you would take the base tank part and you would take the jet part and you would line them up with the slots on the top, push them down, and hopefully it'll work. There it goes. And it would auto-convert. His hands did pull out a little bit. He did have a gun that was like burgundy, but I cannot seem to locate it. But there you go with flywheels. I always thought it was really odd that his name was Flywheels. I just didn't quite understand that because his partner Duocon, Battle Trap right here, you would think that his name would be Flywheels and he would be Battle Trap, but whatever, kind of is what it is. Once again, the same converting method, so you could take the weapon off the top of the roof and you would place the helicopter on top and line it up just right and press it down and it should auto convert. There it goes. Took a little bit of pushing to get it in, and it says to port this gun on the side of the arm. They did not have a lot in the way of articulation. That was one real major downside to these ones. These auto-converting ones, while they were pretty cool, they didn't leave a lot in the way of playability beyond the auto-transforming ability because, quite honestly, there's no real transforming involved in it other than you snapping them together and maybe just porting the weapons on. But it's still a fairly cool concept because at least they do fully convert when you press them down. And the characters' bios were pretty interesting. They were both listed as assault teams.
Galvatron, our jet's gonna crash into our tank!
No, it's not. They're going to transform into one robot.
Introducing Duocons, Decepticon 2-in-1s. They think they're twice as tough as any Autobot, and maybe they are.
Transformers, more than meets the eye. Transformers.
Oh man, you know what? I think these things were fun. They definitely did lack articulation, but it was a cool concept what they had going on. Oh, what you got going on there, Adam? And we are joined by Adam. What's going on, Adam?
There's just a few of what I've got, you know, from the old school Galvatron to you know, some of the newer stuff. I had a guy that worked with metal that made the Decepticon logo there. And then, yeah, because of the Scion Car Club, of course, when they had the one that made was a Scion. I've got two of those. So, yeah, man, that's my little shelf.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam. I always love when people come on and they show off some of the stuff that they got, man. It doesn't make me feel so lonely up here being the dork showing off my toys.
I mean, you know, we've talked about, I've got those hard hero statues, but they're all in the boxes and styrofoam out in the garage and stuff. And I was like, you know, you were talking toys. So I was like, you know what? Let me go get a you know, so I did my workout and made sure I got the shot, and I even put it in portrait mode for you, brother.
Appreciate that. Appreciate
it'd be
that.
nice and crisp and clean.
And we are also joined by Mike Pacific 414. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, brother. Thank you for sending me the invite.
Oh man, anytime. I know that you're a big Transformers fan as well, and you know, I knew today was going to be Transformers Day, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to throw Mike a link as well. And of course, Decepticon he was in the back. We were talking about the name changes. So I know in the Sunbow cartoon they wound up switching the colors of Rumble and Frenzy. And I'm kind of wondering if something happened in production where they switched the name of Battle Trap and Flywheels there. And you seem to think so as well.
That seems like it's plausible because they did it with Frenzy and Rumble. So I would see it happening again. I mean, people do make mistakes.
Well, I know. Oh, go ahead.
Let's not also forget, you know, Jetfire was the name of the toy, and then on the series it was Skyfire.
Oh, well, do you know why?
I know it's because of legal reasons.
Yeah, because of Bondi and Macross. So what happened is Taku Tuku Toys, who wind up doing a lot of the things for like the deluxe Insecticons, the deluxe Autobot cars. Well, they originally had the rights to make that Jetfire model. So they had licensed it off to Hasbro. But shortly after that, Taku Tuku Toys was bought out by Bondi, which is, of course, their rival with GoBots and a lot of these other franchises. So when it came time to start marketing it with cartoons, comics, and everything like that, they said no. They absolutely said no. You can't use it in any of these formats. And to add insult to injury, in Japan, Japanese kids could not get a Jetfire since it was part of the Macross line there. So we got it in the States and maybe a few other countries that got it. But yeah, most of the countries that they were getting it from Japan or they were getting it from the Japanese end of the line of Transformers, they couldn't have it. So that's why they wound up, they had to change the entire look and they had to change the entire name when it came not only to the cartoon, but the comic as well, because he's listed as Skyfire in the comic.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty interesting stuff. Manliness and Motivation was in the chat. He said I found an Omega Supreme, basically the G1, but under another name for like $80. Mighty Miracle God. And see, that's another thing. That was made by, I believe that was a Toy Box out of Korea, because they did a Mega Supreme, they did Shockwave, and then they licensed it out to Hasbro. So they had that robot that was the Omega Supreme in a few different colors under a few different names by a few different companies for, of course, different price points.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Tommy. Didn't Radio Shack sell a version of Shockwave?
Yes, they
Although
did.
They didn't call it Shockwave?
Yeah, it was called Galactic Man, and he was gray with a reddish gun arm, a reddish hand, and the rear sights were red. But all the fans called him Shockwave. And the funny thing is that Hasbro, under the newer stuff, when they were doing Earth Rising, the Siege line, basically. So they actually released a version of Galactic Man through their Siege line.
That's pretty cool.
What you got here, Jens?
Yeah, the Jetfire. Yeah, I'm sure I had like Jetfire, but
yeah, that's the original one right there. Yeah, the Valkyrie jet.
Yeah, I think it might be in that one version, but a bit grayer, more grayer thing. Because it wasn't as red as that, I don't think. No, it might have been. Yeah, actually, it was. Yeah, it was that one. Yeah, but I didn't put much of the stuff on it, apart from like the backpack, I think. But yeah, it had the gun.
Yeah, and basically, it was basically just a recoloring of the Macross Valkyrie. And on some of the early models, when they actually started packaging those things and shipping them over to Hasbro in the States to market as Jetfire, some of them actually had the Valkyrie logos on them. So like some of the early ones.
Right.
Have y'all ever seen those sound waves they sell that are MP3 players?
I did see that, yes.
I was thinking about getting one. I was like, man, that's kind of cool. Like, and then I got like lost off into some I guess, wormhole. They had these, I guess, new era hats, but they're not that big. Like, they're only like 5 inches. They had the Segas and the Nintendos you could get. They were either Optimus Prime. I want to say the Sega was Megatron.
I remember they did a Megatron. He was actually the Nintendo light gun.
Yeah, I saw somebody on. I saw somebody on Instagram that repainted it. They pulled it all apart. They repainted it like that too. I was like, damn, that's some skill there.
Luffy is God. If it was My Little Pony, I care and I judge around here, Brody's getting banned. Manley's also said he had a G1 Omega Supreme when he was a kid. Awesome. Yeah, I have 2 Omega Supremes in the back. They actually need some more work. A lot of the gears that are part of the auto moving aspect of Omega Supreme have gone bad somehow. Like maybe some of the contacts are bad or some of the gears are out of place. And I actually got one of them completely disassembled. And I'm trying to figure out which gear is bad in it or which post or something is maybe rotted. I haven't, because it turns out most of it's in the head. Like the main body was fine. All those gears were good. Somewhere in the head, one of the gears or pins went bad. They look like GoBots, and you had the Duocons. Now the Transformers buyers all gay and trans. I mean, the old days, right? Yeah. Hey, Pop Cotton, what's going on, man? Internet connection sucks ass as all week. So while I'm here, hey, man, I appreciate it. I understand that. We've all been having issues with the internet lately. Soul Assassin, did Tommy say line up the slots or sluts? It doesn't really matter at that point. He also said something about sticking it in harder. You're damn right. You have to. Just jam it in there. Einhard and Wheeljack are married now. Oh, God.
Yeah, but I mean, Inard, I was all talking about transforming sluts because, yeah, sometimes, they have a bit of a stick.
I just saw that new movie that had the Beast Wars. It was on, Paramount Plus? It's free on that. Like, I wasn't paying for it. It's not that bad, but I cannot stand Pete Davidson. He ruins the whole fucking movie.
Need one called Slotfire.
I'm sure that's coming. Well, you know what? Here's the one thing I will say about
Talkwave. Seriously, we can seriously make Transformers born. You know.
Oh yeah, the Robotech version. Yeah, they were good. I mean, they were basically it was the same damn toy, so it didn't matter. Genstradamus. I have the red and white Jetfire, but never had the accessories. Yeah, you know, and that's the problem with a lot of the loose ones. You can get a really decent price for a Jetfire, but when you go to get those accessories, that's when they really rape the shit out of you. Yeah, it probably is the plastic gears that have gone bad. It's the same thing with a lot of these different toys that had those kind of functions. But holy shit, man! Like, yeah, the Duocons. Did any of you guys have Duocons?
I had never even heard of them.
I actually did.
Sorry.
Huh?
I actually did have one of the Duocons. Unfortunately, I don't have them anymore, but...
Did you have all the pieces for them, too? I know I had the blaster for flywheels. I just can't figure out where the hell it got to.
You know, I probably lost the blaster at some point. Especially taking it to school and playing with it on the playground. And
that's one thing I didn't do. I did not take my Transformers out of the house because I knew my neighbors, they were going to take them. I never let nobody play with them. My brother destroyed them. All of them.
Yeah, but I'm looking for Duocons, but can't find it. What was he?
Well, I had them in the clip. So basically, they were two little vehicles, and they auto transform. So you put one on top of the other, and they had like little sluts that you would put them into. And the sluts, if you pushed them into the holes really hard, they would pop up together as a single robot. There, is that better? Does that meet everybody's expectations? Sluts pushing in harder.
It sounds like headmasters. The sluts.
But But no, I mean, they were fun for what they were. I thought that they were a lot more interesting than the jump starters, even though the jump starters had at least arm movement, at least a little bit more arm movement. I thought that they were a little bit more interesting because you're taking two bots and throwing them together instead of just pulling something back and letting it auto transform. And as far as that compared to the battle chargers that the Decepticons have, there's no comparison to Duocons win out. But we're going to get into the next part of this Transformers, unless anybody else wants to add anything else onto that.
Apart from, like, I wished I still had my Jetfire, but with me Optimus Prime, they both got sold off, which I was like, real gutted. But
unfortunately, that's probably happened to a lot of us, whether they were sold off or, in my case, stolen.
The Jetfire, though, it was massive, like, about like 12 inches high.
Yeah. It was something like 11 or 12 inches tall. Yeah, he's a large figure. I've got two of them sitting in the back. Both of them are, well, semi-complete. One is both of them are missing like the armor pieces and stuff.
Oh yeah. I think as I say, mine was a bit more grey because I don't think I put them armor pieces on it, and because like the clips want all that secure, so they come off. But the Optimus Prime, because Optimus Prime must have been about 6 inches high when he's like in his sort of human form, because it was about twice the size of Optimus Prime and that, and so like it was good value for the size.
No, it absolutely was. I mean, well, and that's one of the things that Hasbro did get when they started partnering up with a lot of these different companies, whether it was Toy Box, Takatoku Toys, or some of the other ones. They wound up getting these bots that were much larger in size. That's like if you look at the deluxe Autobots, they were way out of scale with the rest of the Autobot cars. They were so huge.
The leader of the aerial bots was Silverbolt, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes.
That's like one of the 3 things I remember about Transformers.
Yeah, I have 2 of him, and I actually have one where he's still got all that goldish chrome still on him, which is shocking.
A friend of mine was obsessed with getting the aerial bots, especially Silverbolt, when I was a kid, because we had a few Transformers episodes, recorded on VHS, and he was in one of them, so I just got obsessed with him.
Well, he was in a few. He's actually in the one where they go back in time and they discover the origins of Optimus Prime being Orion Pax.
Oh. Yeah, because was Jetfire a Transformer then?
He was under the Transformers, but he was licensed.
Right, yeah, because was he ever in the cartoons or was he in the comic book?
He was always originally he was always listed as Skyfire. It wasn't until much later on, and I don't know if they had bought the rights from Bandai, but they wound up being able to use the name Jetfire much later on.
Yeah,
all the earlier stuff they were not allowed to use it because of licensing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because was Jetfire then an Autobot?
Yes, and it depends on which iteration you're looking at, because there's a few iterations where he starts off with no affiliation, and then there are other iterations where he gets kind of duped into being a Decepticon at first. So that's why when they did the Earthrise version of Jetfire, he actually has a little spinny symbol in his chest where he could be Autobot or Decepticon. And when they did it on the Netflix series, they did the same thing. He starts off as a Decepticon, then he becomes an Autobot.
Right. Yeah, because I remember him being an or having the Autobot sign, but not seeing him in the cartoons. And all the Decepticons were usually the aeroplanes and that. And so, it was one of them where you could have like an Autobot in a jet form.
Well, he was one of the first ones. It was like him and Power Glide were the first Autobot air team, I guess you could say.
All right. Yep. Yeah, I didn't know there was another one.
But we got another segment here. This is one of those things that I'm sure many of us Transformer fans appreciate this, when you have all kinds of different media for this franchise, because it's not just toys. That's the thing. Transformers is like a lot of these franchises stuck around for a long time. They are not going to be able to have any longevity if they're just building off the toy franchise by themselves. G.I. Joe didn't. Even stuff that I don't really care much about, like My Little Pony and shit. Like my daughter's into that stuff, but they've got all kinds of shows, movies. Of course, it was a failed movie, but they've got all this other merchandise too. And Transformers absolutely same. They've got a ton of different merchandise, and we're going to take a look at that right now with this old school media break.
Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome here for this going old school media break. As you can see, we have a whole bunch of different media forms here for the Transformers. In the back left-hand corner, we got Transformers Villains. Right next to that, got Heroes with the Rebirth. Then we got the 25th Anniversary Special Edition, which actually came with my 25th anniversary release of Optimus Prime. Of course, we got the special collector's edition Transformers the movie right there. And then we've got the series collection right here. Everything all the way up through seasons 3 and 4. Complete here. An awesome collection to have. And of course, with that being said, for some of the people who had a lot to say about the Netflix version, where they said that they were gender swapping Autobots, guess what? Season 2, right here in Season 2, we wind up getting female Autobots. All the ones that were in the Netflix version, minus one, and that would be RC, that was in the Transformers, the movie. Of course, I got my Steelbook version right here. Really incredible piece. Love all this stuff. Guys, hope you enjoyed this trip down Transformers Media Memory Lane.
Yeah, man. What's up, Awesome One? Awesome One says he has the movie on VHS. Think he recorded off TV. Nice.
I got the movie on DVD with the follow-up, the second season follow-up to the movie on DVD also.
Oh shit! What's Adam got there? What's Adam got?
So yeah, man, it's the box set that they had out a long time ago. That it came with all kinds of goodness and loveliness and artwork. I was waiting, man. I was waiting. I made sure I wasn't missing this one.
That's awesome.
And
I don't think I ever seen that
come off in order to take it apart. It comes apart that way.
You got the check.
Yep. You better believe it. And
light our darkest hour.
Yeah.
I remember going and seeing it in the theaters, man. It was awesome. But yeah, it's the whole series. And I haven't even watched them, because we've seen them all so much, but it's like, man, this was one of those. I was like, I got to get this, and I did.
Yeah. Well, Adam, man, I know when you open the box set, you got to open it above your head.
Rise, Rodimus Bride.
That's right. But yeah, it was one of those. It kind of came out of nowhere, and then of course, when you get to the end on the insides. You get the foil. You got
very nice.
So yeah, again, it was just one of those things that when we were able to get them, you got them. But because we didn't get a lot, right? Like it took forever to start getting stuff.
Yeah, I know. You know, I was waiting forever for when they actually finally put it out in DVD. And I know for a while there, I don't know how many of you remember this, when Michael Bay started coming out with his version of the Transformers, that 86 movie disappeared off all shelves for years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I had gone into my local Walmart and picked up the 20th anniversary of Transformers the movie. And that was before the live action movie came out, of course.
Yeah, it's crazy because I know, God, it was in between when they released the 35th, because that Steelbook I have is the 35th. I know they did a 25th as well. And I seem to recall there was all kinds of extras or specials with the 25th. And I went looking for it, couldn't find it. And every time I went back to Best Buy and some of these other places at the time, nobody ever had it in damn stock. And then
time I remember the 25th was the only time I ever saw anything for the 25th was at my comic book shop, and it was only the Optimus Prime with the comic book. But that was whenever IDW did the #1. I never seen a 25th anniversary movie, but one time, but not like in the wild. I've only seen it like on you know, the internet.
Right. Yeah, it was difficult to find.
And when the series came out, all 4 seasons, I skipped the Rhino releases, and I'm glad I did, because when I heard all the extra sound effects that they added to it, I'm all, no, you're ruining what made the classic cartoon great.
Yeah. I mean, we can right now on what is it Hasbro's website? They run G.I. Joe and Transformers on there.
Yeah, and Hasbro Plus.
Yeah. And y'all know Gary from Pop Culture Minefield, right?
Mm-hmm.
He actually drew for G.I. Joe. Yeah, he drew some G.I. Joe comics.
We got a question here. So Soul Assassin wants to know, what was the hype like when the Transformer movie came out?
Yeah, I remember seeing the commercial for it, and I wanted to go see it. And then when I did, I ended up crying like everybody else when Optimus died.
So I wasn't but like a year old, maybe 2 years old whenever the movie was out. I see it as, I remember seeing it on VHS, and I cried my eyes out when Optimus died. And I was an Autobots fan then, but nowadays, Decepticons all day.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jens.
Optimus Prime died, and so I didn't want to go see it. And it was one of them films where it was like hyped up for about a week until all the kids had seen it, until the other kids, oh, Optimus Prime dies, and then it was like just cooled down.
Well, what I can remember when they came out in '86 is I went and saw Transformers the movie, and my parents, they went and saw Top Gun. So Transformers the movie gets out before Top Gun is finished, and when they come out, they're all happy-go-lucky, and I'm sitting there on the bench, and I'm crying, and they're all, Michael, what's wrong? I said, Optimus Prime died.
Yeah.
I mean, I cried whenever Simba's dad died, but that's the movie I saw in the theaters that killed kids' hearts, was Simba's dad dying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's like Simba's dad. He's like a bit character, isn't he? Optimus Prime's the main character. It's like any film or cartoon series like they did with He-Man, where at least with Optimus Prime, he did have a bit of a battle before he got killed. But with He-Man, he just gets killed off, and it's like no, you just can't. I mean, like any film, you kill off the like lead character in the first like 5 or 10 minutes. I know it's not going to be great.
Well, I think the reason that it was such a huge impact on kids is because Optimus Prime was such an inspirational character. Yeah, and I mean, and that is the way that Peter Cullen had played it. I mean, like anybody who knows the story behind that, Peter Cullen's brother had actually served, and I believe it was in Vietnam. And when he came back and he told his brother how he had landed this role to be this hero guy for this new cartoon, he says, don't play the Hollywood hero, play a real hero, somebody who cares. and somebody who has heart. And he took the words of his brother, and he said he actually does an imitation kind of his brother when he's doing Optimus Prime, and that was his inspiration for the basis of his version of the character.
Yeah, and I think the cartoon sort of like wanted to like toughen up the Western kid, as to say, grow up, heroes die, because they did that with G.I. Joe, and the thing with G.I. Joe though.
Oh, and they got big blowback for that, man. Well, that's the thing, and the reason that G.I. Joe never made it to the theaters was because of two movies that Hasbro did. One was My Little Pony, which was a huge flop, and the other one was the Transformers. The Transformers, which was also a huge flop, because all the parents like, oh my God, they're killing the kids' characters. And they basically refused to take their kids to the theaters after that.
Well, some of the kids didn't want to go to see it after they'd seen their mates shell-shocked of seeing Optimus Prime die on the big screen. Like, oh no, I'll leave that one then.
Right? Hey, what's going on, Pearhead? They rent the movie to see it first. Yeah, there was a lot of people I knew it was like that. They didn't have a chance to see it in the theater. The thing that pissed me off, it was like 2 years ago, they had re-released it in theaters. And my theater had sold out so quick, I couldn't even get tickets to go see it. I was pissed because it was only I believe it was only a 1 or 2 day showing of it. And all the tickets were sold out like as soon as they went on sale. I was like, damn it. Yeah, you've seen the movies on VHS? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's one thing I wouldn't mind doing is seeing that movie in the theater once again. There's just certain movies you want to see in the theater again. Yeah, it's nice to have them at home to be able to watch whenever you want, but just to get that movie theater experience again, you can't beat it.
Absolutely not. You know what some of the things like Shout Factory has done with their re-releases of the movie, where they've cleaned it up a little bit. Some of it I think I probably could have did without. You know, if you're restoring it to its original, that's fine. But when they start adding all kinds of extra colors and sounds, you know, like let's get the original experience. Just clean it up. Make it look like it did when it first came out and release it. And I know some of these ones are actually like, I think they did it with the 4K version. They changed some of the color palettes a little bit. So that I don't agree with, because I know I was watching the documentary version on my Steelbook, and they were talking about what the colorations that they did. And they changed Hot Rods a little bit, as they said, because they didn't like the original coloration they did in the original film. And they changed it. And while I think Hot Rod was miscolored in the original film, he was too pinkish looking when he should have been burgundy. Still, that's how the original was. Leave it that way. Just clean it up. Don't change it.
Yeah, they always do though. This one of them where, as you say, they could do it where they just clean it up, but keep it to the original how it was shown. But they always like, oh no, we'll make it better, and it makes it like more sort of like sellable. Where they're like, oh yeah, they can say it like Transformers, like you've never seen it before, and that, which is true. Yeah, well, talking about the Transformers sort of like stuff and that. My favorite is the backpacks. Because you always see like crazy backpacks of like others, but the Transformers ones go really, because they've got like Bumblebee in it and like all different designs. Like, yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I know we had a bunch of the lunch boxes and stuff like that, and I don't know. Do you guys remember like the I think they were called bed trays. So they were the metal tin bed trays with folding out legs, and they would have like Transformers.
Oh yeah, yeah. That like you got your mum to make breakfast in bed for you or whatever.
Or just if you're having a snack, if you were a messy kid, right?
Yeah.
Luffy has got. I love the twist. Never before had I seen a hero killed before, and what a way to go out! Optimus the Legend. I think.
No.
I think the way they did it, I don't think it was horrible myself. Was it a sad moment for Optimus going out? Yeah, sure it was. But I think that he went out standing up for exactly what the character was always meant to do. Stand up for everybody else. Stand up for for what was right. And he went out believing in that. So I really didn't have that much of a problem with it. I did have a bit of a problem with them bringing him back the way they did the first time. They just kind of brought him back, and he was just he was basically just an RC-controlled Optimus Prime, and then they killed him again.
Yeah.
Only to bring him back again?
And only to bring him back again. Awesome was that he was big into Transformers. He saw Beast Wars, and the animation turned him off. Yeah, I was not a huge fan of Beast Wars. I didn't hate it, but I was not a huge fan.
The Beast Wars game on PlayStation 1, that was cool. That was like an open world kind of game. Man, I really liked that one.
Fathom Events is doing a 35th anniversary of They Live next month. That's neat. What's up, Chaos Boy? Doing all right, man. I hope that you're well. Yeah, all right. Toughen up the American kids. Jens, have you seen kids from the 80s and 90s? They were wild.
Yeah. Oh, well, I was on, I was watching, I was in the chat with Sasha's stream talking about like films and that, and he got onto the subject of like Over the Top by Stallone, and like, yeah, in that, like, there's a really horrible bit where this dude gets his arm dislocated because he should have given up. He wasn't going to win this arm wrestle, but because his arm gets dislocated, and you see it, and it's like proper, like it's like screaming and that, like it would be like when your arm gets dislocated from the elbow. Well, 80s kids, right? The music and all is Winner Takes It All, a kick-ass rock song. So it's all going off, and like because it's like the arm wrestle montage. So that's where the dude gets his arm broken, dislocated. It looks like he gets it broken, but it's not. But yeah, 80s kids like because it's like a PG, and so 80s kids was watching grown men like dislocating other grown men's arms, and that was like PG. Now there's like, if they see two grown men arm wrestling, they'd be in shock. They wouldn't know what was happening.
They probably think that they're getting ready to hug. What's going on? Conquest Comics is in the house. What's up, man? What's up? I'm getting ready to roll on to the next clip. I prepared a whole lot of clips for today. I don't know why today had to be Transformers Week, but I wanted it to be. So I got another one. This is going to be another toy. I don't know how many of you guys had this one. Now, I just recently did the Earthrise version of this character, and I got to say I was a bit disappointed in it just because of some of the things they did on one half of this character, but I still had the original one, at least part of it. I'm still looking to piece out the rest, but here we go with another G1 Transformer.
Hey guys, what's going on? We are hanging out with Cliff Jumper, the master of the Transformers. Cliff Jumper's having a few blueberries because he's a very bougie pig. He demands payment up front, don't you, Cliff Jumper? But anyway, guys, we have recently talked about the Earthrise Skylinks that they had out there. Well, now we're going to talk, since we're going old school, we are going to talk about the G1 version of Skylinks. Now, granted, I do not have everything for the Skylinks. I did get them secondhand, and I did have to do some piecework on this just to make this section as complete as it is right now. But let's go ahead and get into it. So, coming out in 1986, we have this version of Skylinks. Just like the later incarnation, he does have opening bay doors right there. I really do like that. That's pretty cool. It was a little added play feature. They didn't need to add it, but pretty cool that they did even back then. So let's go ahead and get him into his transform mode as a Dino Bird. And yes, he is listed as a Dino Bird. So the head just kind of pops up like that. And this is the one thing that was kind of weak about this thing. These joints, oh God, these joints get so damn weak on these things. just kind of is what it is. The back pulls out. And when they did the Earthrise one, there was a lot of this stuff, just like on this original one, that did carry over. And it was one of the reasons that I thought the figure was really cool. I just wish that they would have taken it home and completed it with better articulation and nothing but good ratcheting joints on that one. That's the one thing that they really messed up on as far as that Earthrise one. They could have put ratcheting joints all the way around and really catapulted that figure into a good spot instead of the lower score that I wound up giving it. But much like that version, he has in his mouth, he has this little acetylene blaster right there. It's kind of hard to see, but it's right there in his mouth. And there you have the Dino Bird version of Skylynx. Granted, like I said, this one's not complete. He can use a little bit of joint tightening on there, but for the Dino Bird portion of him, he is pretty much complete. I just don't have Lynx, which was the walk-in aspect to this toy, and it was one of the reasons that he was a little bit heavier in the price tag department when he first came out. Still an incredible piece to have as part of my G1 collection.
Transformers, more than meets the eye. The Transformers.
Yeah, I didn't even know that Transformer existed.
I've never seen the original Skylynx, really. Shit. Yeah, you're just chilling out before bed. Yeah, I mean, if you had wanted to, I would have threw you a link. Disney Sheep Herders in the house. What's going on, man? Welcome. Good to see you. Stripe is doing much better now, but now I'm having problems with Cringer, unfortunately. I'm not catching a break right now with the pigs. It kind of is what it is, but I'm doing the best I can for these guys, and I'm going to try to make sure that they all get completely healthy again. And if that requires another trip to the vet, it requires another trip to the vet. Man, that reminds me of all the styrofoam space shuttles my mom used to get. Yeah, right. Oh, I remember those styrofoam space shuttles they used to have back in the day, and the big giant plane gliders that they used to make out of styrofoam. They'd come in like 3 pieces, so the center wings would go through the body of this big styrofoam plane, and then you would put the tail rudder on, and then you would throw it, and it was supposed to be able to like circle back. What's going on, Draven?
Was that the one with the? Because I had one where it had a propeller on it that was like tied to an elastic band that you like.
Oh yeah, no, those are the little tiny they were like little mini balsa wood and foam planes. I know exactly what you're talking. No, these were big styrofoam planes that probably had a wingspan of about 2 to 3 feet.
Oh right, because we had them, but there was only about like 6 inches.
But getting back to Skylynx real quick, Mike, did you ever have him?
I never had him. I always wanted him, and even when Takar did a reissue of him, I looked at the price and I went, "No, I'm not importing that."
God, even the prices on a lot of those reissues were absolutely ridiculous. I mean, even on that Earthrise one, the price on the Earthrise one that they did, and don't get me wrong, the thing looks great, but because they don't have ratcheting joints and everything, it's kind of like very similar to the original one. There's joints weaken up and the head flops down or the tail flops a little bit more than it should. Luckily, though, with the original one, it's all set screws. So all I have to do is take the neck apart, take the joints apart, and I can tighten up those joints right in the neck that actually are loose, and he'll be right as rain again.
That's
unfortunately. Great. Yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing like that with the Earthrise one. There's nothing to tighten up. Yeah, the little mini toy gliders.
Yeah, I've seen them where they do a loop and smash the dudes in the back of the head. I think they're the ones like we used to get where the rail's small and that. Well, they haven't got the elastic band on. They were just that when you threw it, like the air would make them propel. But there was
I remember those ones with the rubber band where you'd actually wind up the propeller, and then you would throw it and let it go, and the propeller would help push it a little bit faster and farther.
Oh yeah. You could get them to go quite a distance if you give them a good wind up and that.
But I know when I seen this here, when I had seen the Skylinks, I picked up him and I had gotten a parts one. So both of them had a few pieces that were missing. So I was able to actually Frankenstein the parts out and at least make one Dino Bird that was complete. While not tight joints and some of the stickers are missing, they're easy enough to actually get off of Toy Hacks, because they make some amazing stickers for like a lot of those older toy franchises.
Yeah, they're them. I had one of them, I think. Yeah. They're the ones with the plastic bands in the middle, but yeah. They go really far compared to like a normal one.
But we're going to move on to the next clip. So this one is actually going to be a toy break. And this is one where we talk about Transformers and GoBots, and a lot of these other companies did the same damn thing, and especially He-Man. Don't even get me started about those early He-Man figures. They were doing a lot of reuses, and that's something that Transformers did as well, because at some point, they kind of ran out of ideas, because early on in the inception of Transformers, when they partnered up with Takara, they were using everything that Takara had done in both the Microchange and the Diaclone franchises that they already had in Japan. They brought all those figures over. Some of them were recolored. A few of them had extra things added to them, like Ratchet from the Ironhide mold. So they put a light bar on there and they turned him into an ambulance. So they did stuff like that. They did the same thing with Red Alert from the Lamborghini Countach that was known as Sideswipe. So they did a lot of that kind of stuff. And once again, when they started coming out with more vehicles and cars in 85, that is one of the things that they wound up doing again. Now, one of these characters was seen on the cartoon, but he was seen under a different name. And it wasn't until after that first cartoon that aired that we wound up seeing a figure of him, albeit under a different name and color. And that's why we have these guys.
What's going on? As we're here for this Transformer toy break. Jumper's not here for this one. So what are we showing off? We're showing off a few of the bots from the Transformers line that were almost like brothers because they were almost exactly the same as far as design. So we got Grapple, and then we have Inferno. These two were basically the same mold. They just made some alterations with some of the extra pieces. Of course, you don't have the big crane on Inferno as you do with Grapple. The core robot is exactly the same. Now, Grapple actually makes the first appearance in the Sunbow cartoon, even though he's not called Grapple and he is called Hauler, and the color is slightly changed. Now, later on, Hasbro in the, I believe it was the Legacy Collection, they do release a green version of Grapple called Hauler, which I think is a nice tribute to the pretty much the screw up that Sunbow did in that early cartoon. So here we have Inferno and we have Grapple in their transformed robot modes. Now, I don't have all the pieces for these guys. Both of these are actually in my repair box, one of many. And as you can see, Grapple here doesn't have his head because somebody had broken it and ripped it right off the damn figure. Unfortunately, this is something that happens with a lot of these older Transformers. They're not quite as sturdy as everybody remembered them to be. Anyway, guys, hope you had fun taking a look at these guys during this toy break.
those guys. What's going on to the Time Prophet? What's up, man? What is going on? Bad Take Bojan. Good to see you. Good to see you. I love the fake brick wall. Yeah, I'm still working on it. I am going to get that damn thing done eventually. It's just I had a lot of things going on in the house with the pigs being sick and everything like that. We have disco lights. Why aren't the Transformers dancing? He joins the headless hunt. He does. I have box loads of these Transformers that are in dire need of repair and parts, but I'm getting to them when I can get parts. If you try stop motion, you can make toys transform. I've done it a few times, and let me tell you, transforming these oldie ones absolutely sucks trying to do it in stop motion. Oh, god dang, does it blow. It's too bad Transformers weren't Tonka tough, right? And that's funny. I did a video on that. Some of those GoBot toys were actually built tougher than the Transformers. And I know a lot of people don't think so, but it is 100% true, because if you look at the early bodies for a lot of those GoBots, and let's take the size equation out of it. Let's talk percentage-wise. A lot of those GoBots, the whole center of the damn GoBot was die-cast all the way around. You've never seen one Transformer where the back and front of the Transformer were completely die-cast in the middle. Not one. No problem, Decepticon. No problem. Thank you for stopping in. Stieg also has to take off as well. Stieg has something going on in family. I hope everything is going to be okay, Stieg. I mean, I understand the loss and everything, but best wishes to you and to your family. So thank you for stopping in. Yeah, so getting back to these guys, and they did this a lot where they would actually just reuse these molds. So any other figures come to mind for you?
Well,
Seekers.
Yeah, the Seekers. That is a very good example. All 6 of them.
I was say, as you were saying, He-Man, they used to use the torso of just there was about 3 different torsos they'd use, but yeah, it was mix and match sort of thing. But there is that sort of conveniency for the companies where it's we can sell practically the same toy, but obviously with the you have to make them a different color and change slight bits here, but you're basically selling the same toy twice, which is good for the molds because you don't have to do another mold.
Well, some of these companies would actually sell that same mold 3, 4, maybe even more times than that. I mean, right now, Transformers under Hasbro is doing that with a lot of these re-releases where they're doing them in different colors. So you'll see the same mold for Sideswipe reused about 5 or 6 different times.
Yeah, but they're just taking advantage of collectors when they do a gold edition or whatever, and it's well, it's just painted gold, yeah. But as you say, the companies won't complain about getting money out of the old mold that they've been using. So yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. As long as people are going to buy it, they're going to keep making it. Mike, did you have something else?
No, I didn't have anything else.
Okay. Trina, we haven't heard from you for a while. Is there any toy line franchise that you could think of where they did a lot of reusing of molds?
Oh, man. Not reusing of old molds.
Or just reusing the same mold as for multiple characters.
Well, My Little Pony did that. The plastic Care Bears did that. Strawberry Shortcake pieces, the plastic parts of the dolls, did that. Yeah, a lot of stuff actually. Barbie. Yeah.
The main body for Barbie was pretty much unchanged through almost all of them, except for maybe skin tone, right?
Yep.
Yeah, well, as you know them, the G.I. Joe but we know them as the Action Man, 12-inch figures and that. Basically, all the figures were all the same, apart from they'd have different heads for certain different sort of soldiers or whatever. And sometimes, yeah, you'd have like different coloured ones, like same mold.
Time Prophet. I have managed to destroy a Tonka toy. It's true. Angelus Draven coming in when Inferno was the Fire Ant in the Beast Wars. Yeah, they did reuse a lot of those names when they started doing Beast Wars, and there was a legitimate reason for them to do that. So in order to be able to keep the licensing and copyright on those names active, they have to keep using them. There was a point in time where Transformers wasn't reusing every single name, and when they went to go back to some of those names, they couldn't use them anymore, and they actually had to change the name when they finally had gotten around to re-releasing a G1 version of one of these older figures. I know Shrapnel was one of them, so they had changed his name to Scrapnel in one of the re-releases, and I think that was either Combiner Wars or Power of the Primes. They did a version of him. Or it might have been Titan's Return. You know what? It was Titan's Return. And that's when they first started calling him Scrapnel because they had lost the licensing on that name. And there was a few other Decepticons and Autobots. It was the same damn thing. They lost the licensing and they had to change the name a little bit.
Bit like with the email address or whatever, like there'll be people who bought up like companies' email address, so then they're just the companies would just change the email address slightly or the branding, or the what do you call it, their sort of like name, because yeah, I think someone bought up one of the snooker or one of the sporting events, I think. So they just sort of like renamed it a different sporting event, or just had a different email address for the sporting event. Yeah.
No, Soul Assassin. Old Tonka toys were indestructible. Still have mine in storage. Still looks brand new. Really, that's nice. And we have a few of them still. Some of them are in pretty good shape. My brother had one that was like a fire engine from it'd been about mid to late 80s. Still have the original box and everything for it. Like it may not look exactly like it did the day it was bought in the store, but it's pretty damn close. Shatterproof rollers, yeah, those things were cheap. They were indestructible. They were indestructible till they met the Time Prophet at age 10. But yeah, there was a lot of these companies doing it. They were reusing molds, and it was a way to kind of like stretch the budget for them so they could put more out at the same time, not really putting anything more out of their pockets. I think sometimes it is 100% cheap, but I do think in certain cases, I think in certain cases it's kind of interesting to get a color that you may not have seen in your country. For example, if Japan had gotten a certain version of a character that they only got in their G1 version, the Transformers or whatever it may have been. Now you can get that in these newer reproductions or in these newer redesigns where they're using reusing a character, but they're putting it in the colors of something that you may have never seen before. I do kind of like that because they are kind of giving that nod to everything that came before. So I do find it interesting. I do think it does become a bit much at some point with all the individual sales. I think at that point they should probably just do a box set and say, okay, here are all the reissues of this character's mold in different colors for different versions of them from different countries. I think they should do stuff like that instead of just individually charging everybody. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah. Well, being greedy though, because like what you've been getting and reviewing on your channel and that, where they'll give you sort of like extra hands and extra heads. So it's like you're getting 3 or 4 figures. Obviously, just one figure. A bit like a Mr. Potato Head, where it's just one potato, but because of changeable features, you can have them in different poses. That Ryu one was good.
Like, yeah, that was a nice figure. Yeah, the orange Constructicons. That is something interesting too, because originally into Takara during the Diaclone era, because yes, Constructicons were part of the Diaclone era, and they didn't come over in first wave, and neither did the Insecticons or the Dinobots, which were already available in Japan. But the original Constructicons, first off, it's really funny about the way they did everything with Diaclone. Most of the guys that are the bad guys in the Transformers, well, they're not bad. Most of them are not bad guys in the Diaclone version. And the Constructicons were one of that. They were that team. They were not bad guys, and they were originally available in orange and yellow. They weren't green like they were in the States. So.
Yeah, I don't think the Constructicons were actually orange yellow until Generation 2.
Well, no, they like I said, Diaclone.
At least for the state.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for the States. Oh yeah, absolutely. And that was the reason why Generation 2 did the orange and yellow, because they were like, okay, let's give them like a little bit of a throwback here, and they included those Diaclone colors. That's why they did it. I don't know if you knew this or not, Mike. You know, when they were doing a lot of those re-releases for G2, they were going to actually do a few characters that they were kicking around that maybe were only available at Toy Cons and stuff like that. So they were going to do some reissues of the Decepticon Seeker Jet molds again, and they were going to do Sandstorm. So that tannish, like that desert tan color version of a Seeker Jet, they were going to do him. They were going to do like a different version color of Mirage. God, they had a bunch of them they were going to do. But a lot of them were either like exclusives or, they were colorations that were only available in Japan.
It is interesting when you look back at G1 Transformers, what did end up coming here to the States and what didn't come here to the States. Like the Railbots. They didn't come out in the States at all.
Another one that was actually featured in an IDW comic was Overlord.
Mm-hmm.
He was never available here either, not until Titan's Return when they did a version of him then, which I do have, and that damn thing looks nice. Right? Yeah, the magnifying glass out in the sun. But yeah, those train bots. Did you see that they recently did them too?
I've seen that they recently done them, and they're also doing the Masterpiece version over in Japan. And
well, I was looking at the ones that they're doing now. So the ones that they're doing, they're kind of like in the Masterpiece size, but they're actually just standard figures. They're just big. Those train bots. And all five of them, if you buy all five, you can form them together to form what the hell's the name of that train bot? Raiden, I think his name is. But they're $150 a piece.
What they're called? Trade bot.
The train bots.
Train, as in like choo-choo trains.
Right. They're really cool. I just can't see spending that kind of money on them.
No.
I
mean, what do you think about that? That posable Optimus Prime that they're releasing on Hasbro Pulse in May of next year for $120.
Another one? I didn't see the new one.
Yeah. I can bring it up for you if you want.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. Hey, what's going on, Vinny?
There you go. That's that. Raiden come back. Oh, stop motion. Well. Oh, is that the one you know about?
Yeah, that was the original one.
Right. Yeah, no, I didn't even know. All right. Is that about the Transformers then? No, it's just about like the people that like thinking. Or is it? Because I've never seen like.
Well, it was only available in Japan.
Right. Yeah.
But when they did these newer series, they done a new version. Mike also has the Optimus Prime. So go ahead, Mike.
All right. Try to get it where everybody can see everything.
Yeah, a bit zoomed in. You need to,
That is actually really nice looking.
Mm-hmm. And this version comes with the trailer.
Yeah, it's out in the trailer this time. Hold on, just what was sort of like before.
All the accessories that you get with it, in homage to the original 84.
Right, apart from like the axe and the what's it called?
Holy shit! I like that because that's a reproduction pose of the original box art.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty slick. See, now, if you want to sell something like that, that's what you do for the old school fans, like, because they're going to know that iconic pose of Optimus Prime from the box art. Yeah, you're damn right. It does look good.
And also, they're releasing just a version of it without the trailer, but it's more in line with the animated series as far as the coloring, and you get this version of the Matrix.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's pretty much like, well, the other one was pretty much like the old one, apart from it came with the Matrix and the axe, which the old version did it back in the 80s.
Yeah, the storms. Yeah, I hear you, Vinny. Yeah, that does look really nice, though. Like crap.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, though, the hands are like going to be a bit dodgy if you have it in the truck form to keep a hold of. That's how I lost the hands to my Optimus Prime. I think I'd him in his truck form, put his little fists somewhere, and then like,
I when I finally got one and I started transforming, messing with it, if I left them in his cab form, I would just put the hands right in the cab.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah, well, I was like lazy and just thought, oh yeah, I'll put them there. I'll remember. I didn't. I put them somewhere where, like, I think I might have put them in the back of the trailer, but then the trailer was crap if it ever got knocked because it would just fly up and like the crap piece of plastic it was, and so I might have lost them that way. I was like,
Time Prophet, do you think the Knight Rider truck was a ripoff of the Transformers truck? I never equated the two. I will say this, though. The coloring of Optimus Prime is very reminiscent of an older TV show called BJ and the Bear. It's the exact same color pattern. Optimus Prime had the axes. Causes power outage. Yeah, I hear you. And it's freaking the power outages and these freaking storms lately. It's been nuts. Or just the internet just like freaking like dropping. Don't worry, Vinny. You'll have another chance to talk Transformers on Thursday because I've got more Transformers stuff for the newer stuff too. So we can keep it going all week long, Vinny. You don't have to feel left out. Oh, man. So, oh, God, where was I? So I did the toy break. So I actually have this one too for the Transformers, and this one is actually a pretty large show off of some of the collection stuff I have. So I'm kind of happy to have these. Once again, I don't have all the parts because I had to piece a lot of these things out, and sometimes I had to actually Frankenstein some of these bots together because, yeah, so many of these damn Transformers wound up broken in different ways. But we can get into that after I show this clip. Guys, how many did you have of these?
Transformers, more than meets the eye.
Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome back as we are hanging out with Cliff Jumper, the master of the Transformers. Oh, Cliff Jumper. Cliff Jumper's getting his lettuce on because Cliff Jumper is a good boy, and we are here to talk about the Transformers. And we are going old school with this one as we are going to show the complete lineup of the 1984 Autobot cars. got every single one in my collection right here. Some of them are in various stages of disrepair because I haven't found all the parts. Of course, we got Prowl right here. Prowl looks really good. Also got Blue Streak. Blue Streak has some issues. He's got some really loose joints on him, but he's all there. Then we got Jazz. Jazz is actually a really nice one. This was an early reissue. Then we got Sideswipe, and I still have a few joints on him that need to be repaired. And then we got Sunstreaker. Sunstreaker's got a little bit of paint wear. Once again, he's intact. Wheeljack is the one Autobot that I have in my collection that I had since I was a kid. Then we have Mirage. Mirage is another one I got secondhand. Had to do a ton of work because this is another one that's frequently broken. Then we got Ratchet. Ratchet is another one I got that I had to piece together. They always seem to be broken in the same places. It's always these glass windows, this, the arms. There's so many things that are broken on him. Then we got Ironhide. Ironhide, he's another one I had to piece together, and I'm still missing the side windows for him. And last but not least, we have Trailbreaker. Trailbreaker is one of the few that I got that I did not have to work on at all. And least not, we forget about Hound. I almost forgot about poor Hound. Hound does have a break at the windshield. He's another one I had to actually put back together, and he is missing a few things. Here we go with all our G1 cars transformed. Guys, these guys are in pretty decent shape considering that some of them I've had to Frankenstein together, and I'm really happy to have the entire 84 collection in my set.
The Transformers, more than meets the eye. The Transformers.
Trina had to step out. Trina, thank you for stopping in. It is what it is. I mean, no worries about it. I know it's kind of tough for some of us to be able to sit here and hang out for a longer stream, but thank you for being here, and I do appreciate it. So got that whole 84 lineup.
Yeah.
That's very nice, Tommy.
Yeah, it's like I had none of them. I'm like told you the two Transformers I had, but because I was more into He-Man, but it was Jetfire and Optimus Prime. But I did want Turbo, which I saw you had, even though Turbo looked like he had tits when he was transformed into his sort of thingy, but it was a Porsche, and so I liked the Porsche car, even though he looked a bit weird when he was transformed, but he was a transformer. Well, what are you going to do? Probably one of them, the designers, was like, oh, this bonnet or hood. Probably, oh, the hood's too big. It's too big, but we can't do anything. Oh, just leave it like that.
I thought some of them were interesting in the design work in them. And I know Jazz in particular, that's not my original. Like I said, the only one in that whole lineup was one of my originals was Wheeljack figure. And all the other ones were stolen. And these are most of these other ones, all the other ones really are all replacements that I got for all the ones that were stolen. But in my original collection, there was actually quite a few I didn't have. Like I didn't have a Ratchet in my original collection. I didn't have Trailbreaker. I didn't have Sunstreaker, Sideswipe, Prowl, Blue Streak. I had Jazz. I had Hound. I had Mirage. I had an Ironhide. And I think that was it out of the original G1 cars. That was all I had. So when I started recollecting these things after all my original ones were stolen, man, I got so incredibly fortunate to find a guy that had to get rid of his whole collection, and he gave me an amazing deal on it. So I wound up picking up all these things that I was stolen or stuff that I never had to be able to add to my collection.
Very nice.
I wanted Hot Rod and all, but
I had both versions of him, Jens.
Oh, was the two versions, yeah.
Oh, I'm going to get into that later. And it's funny you should mention that because I do have a clip for it. Hey, what's going on? What's up, Mike? Good to see you, man. Buddy from my childhood, man. I hope that you're doing well, man. Thanks for stopping in. Transformers titties in disguise. Damn it, Time Prophet. How did they survive my childhood? My parents weren't exactly loaded with money. So usually anything I got, I really did appreciate it, and I took care of most of that stuff. So now you heard it, Jens wants a hot rod. Oh no.
Yeah, because I'm a Transformer fucking fan, you weirdo. Get a fucking girlfriend.
So at any of those, you didn't have any of them, Mike?
Out of all of them, the only one I originally had was Ironhide. Unfortunately, we had a flood and a lot of our stuff got destroyed. But I was able to pick up a reissue of Ironhide, a reissue of Ratchet, Jazz, and Blue Streak.
Some of those reissues are not horrible.
No.
It was a number of years ago. I'm trying to remember exactly when it was. I don't know if you'd seen this. They did a reissue of the Seeker Jets, but they did the Conehead Seeker Jets as they were labeled. So they had Dirge, Thrust, and Ramjet. Mm-hmm. And it was one big triple pack. All three of them came in.
Very nice.
I snagged that one, and because I seen it. It was like a decent price too for all three. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna grab that. I didn't need it. I already had in my recollecting. I did pick up all three of the original ones, but I figured, I'll get the reissue too. It looks pretty cool.
It's just like when Takara Tomy reissued the original Megatron, I scooped that up.
Yeah. God, that original Megatron is starting to become harder and harder to find, especially with all the laws that they have on those type of toys looking like guns and shit.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first year I got Wave 1 Megatron. So it didn't have what was re-released in 85 with the orange cap on it. Which I think that orange cap was just, I don't remember if they had a screw on that or whatever, but it was in 85 that they made them put orange caps. And then after that, that was the last year that they had a gun other than Shockwave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I remember it changing into some kind of like plasma sort of cannon thing.
Well, basically the stock and everything like that, it turned into a big particle beam cannon.
Yeah. As I say, I wouldn't have minded one, but it was really tricky to assemble it and that, and so.
Well, I mean, that was the thing. I mean, they were supposed to be like puzzles. Like when they originally created these things, it had the puzzle aspect to it. So, I mean, it was one of those things, it was going to keep a kid's attention. Like, it was just unique. Plus, the kid had their toy hiding in disguise, and their parents didn't recognize what it was.
Yeah, well, it was two toys in one, wasn't it, sort of thing. So, like,
it absolutely was. Yeah, and there was a lot of other franchises that were doing. I know that, earlier it was mentioned Voltron and everything they did with Go Lion and everything in Japan. There was a lot of those companies that were doing that stuff. Takara was doing technically that kind of stuff with their Microman line too, as well, because they had things that transformed. Like they had this little helicopter for their Microman line that would transform into something like a backpack or something.
Well, for the Microman.
Yeah.
All right.
I had some of that stuff when I was a kid, and I remember it, and it was like really cool. They also had figures that you could take apart. There was I'm trying to remember what it's called, Baron Tog or whatever. I called it the Black Knight. It was the Knight series. So they had one that was called the Black Knight, and basically he comes with a black horse if you get the deluxe version of him. The horse you could take apart, and so could the figure. It was magnetically held on with legs and arms and everything like that. So you could take the legs off this Black Knight and put it onto the torso of the horse and create yourself a centaur, or do it in a bunch of other different configurations and just create different characters off that one character. Yep, there goes some of the Microman stuff with the little helicopter, and it transformed a little bit and turned into like a backpack or something. Like they had a few things that did weird stuff like that.
Oh, this is like the new
New Microman series. It turns into a tape.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, that's it there, isn't it?
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Stational. Or have a father that refuses to throw anything out.
Well, what was that one you said with the horse?
Black Knight. It was part of Microman. It was called. Well, they had it also in Micronauts when Mego brought it over to the States in '78. But it was called the Black Knight.
Oh, the Black Knight.
I'm not going to show it.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're showing Batman. Batman was never known as the Black Knight.
No.
The Dark Knight, not the Black Knight.
Yeah, no, something. Can't really see it. What's that? No, Ninja.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Sword's a bit big though, because it's going to be one of them where hard to balance it with that sword. It's going to really. I think you put the sword behind it just to balance it out. Yeah, there's like a Transformer micro man thing.
I wonder if it might be easier to look up Micronauts and Black Knight.
Micronauts.
NAU. GHTS. There he is.
All right. Yeah.
So there's I just seen the picture. There it is. See it right down the bottom. They've got him as a centaur.
Yeah. This one.
So that was one of the cool things that Takara did. And then, of course, they partnered up with Mego, and in '78 they brought it over to the States as Micronauts, and they wound up getting a comic book for a short amount of time as well. But yeah, really interesting figures. This is some of the stuff, the interchangeability and the playability factor of being able to transform the original toy. Takara was doing that stuff too. Probably right around the same time frame as they were doing Voltron, and then of course you had the Shogun Warriors. They were doing it to a small degree as well. There was a lot of companies out there doing it, which all wound up giving rise to the changing robots.
Yeah, in this position here, that it reminds me of that He-Man figure. I forget his name, but he had 3 legs. Basically
was it 3 legs or 4 legs? Yeah, I think you're thinking of Modulok.
Yeah, it was 3 legs, but hopefully
he was the one that came apart.
Yeah.
There was 2 different ones that did that. So you had Modulok, and then there was another one that was like a robot that did the same thing as Modulok. Modulok. MODULOK, I think it is.
Yeah, it looks more like yeah.
Damn.
No, 3 legs, but 2 legs, but 3 legs, and yeah, that's no fucking.
Yeah, they did a new version. Yeah, it is 4 legs. Yeah, I thought it was 4 legs because the 2 bodies came apart.
Oh,
actually, it's 6.
Yeah, he got 6 on that one. Yeah, but where's the one where he's got 3 legs? I think. I think that's about both of them. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they both came with like 3 legs, I think. But, yeah, I think it. I don't know. I don't know. It's got 4 legs on that one. Yeah. That one, yeah. That looks a bit like Spider-Man. I'd be like,
that coloring is really bad. Yep, he was a Horde figure. I'm actually kind of surprised they haven't done that in the Origins line yet. I'm sure they'll get around to it. Disguise splat? No way. No assimilations, buddy. Seriously. I need a guinea pig transformer.
It must be in the cartoons. He had 3 legs.
Yeah, I seem to always recall 4. So, but let's get back into the Transformers. So you were talking about it, and we're going to be getting into it very shortly. But I have one more Transformers media break to show off. I'm sure Mike has probably had some of these things. Let's say we're going to take a look down more Transformers media memory lane.
What's up, guys? We're still rolling old school. Now, while not all this stuff is really technically very old school, a lot of it is part of my Transformers collection. And since today is a big Transformers discussion, let's talk about some of the old school media that is sitting around over here. So, of course, we got stuff like we got the Classics Volume 1. It's got it's got 14 of the original 14 or 13 of the original Transformers comics in it. Let me see. It is 13. So it's got 13 comics. We have this one, the 84 100-page giant special. This is basically reprinting of the original story. Then we got Regeneration 1, where they continued the original Marvel stories of the Transformers. Then we got this nice old one from 86. This was a UK comic, Slave of the Insecticons. Pretty thin, but pretty interesting. Very large magazine style format. Of course, we've got a whole bunch of different IDWs, Dreamwave, and everything else in there. I don't have any of my original comics. They are all gone. I don't even remember what happened. I think they got stolen, but I just cannot be sure. We got various other IDW paperbacks all the way in the back and around the sides, all on that side, all kinds of different ones. I've been collecting these for many years. I liked most of the stories, and once I started getting into the agenda-driven shit is when I checked out of IDW. But a lot of their older stuff was really well done, and it was well written. Then we got this book right here, Legacy, The Art of Transformers Packaging. And this shows off a lot of the artwork from all those original toys. This is a really cool piece to have. And it's even got some of the stuff from Takara. Love this. And of course, I got the vault in the back. That's got all kinds of history stuff on the Transformers. We also have this manga right here, Stormbringer. A pretty large collection. Even though I don't have all my original ones, I do have all this. And most of this stuff is at least 10 years old, if not older. Anyway, guys, this is another media break for you today on Transformers Day on Going Old School.
Yeah, nice collection there.
And it's
real nice collection.
Oh, it's not even as big as it used to be at one time when I had all the original first, series of Transformer comics from Marvel. But Yeah, have you ever read any of those, Mike?
I did as a kid, and actually, if I wasn't so afraid of grabbing a version of the original comic that I actually still have because the pages are starting to fall out, I would grab it and show it to you.
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, I learned that pretty early collecting comic books, that you really, if you're going to have comics like that, you definitely need to have acid boards, and you need to have the plastic, and make sure you take care of those things or they start falling apart. Unfortunately, I pulled out a few of the older comics that I was a kid, the way my father had them stored. They did not survive. they literally fell apart like a freaking leaf on the sidewalk after being out all summer. Yeah, I do. There's quite a few of those IDW ones. Yeah, none of the spines broke on them. They're all fine, and I've read them multiple times. I drag them around the house and just read them wherever. G.I. Joe and Transformers World War I crossover, and that was one of the ones that I couldn't seem to find a good copy of because I wanted to read that one because wasn't that the one where they had Bumblebee look like a steam train or something? Or was that a different one? Steel Heart or something. Maybe that was the Bumblebee one. Maybe that wasn't with the G.I. Joe one. But I know they did stuff with he was like a damn German tank or something. Megatron. Yeah, knew what she was doing with the run. Yeah, before Linda Carter became a weirdo. God, it's just so depressing that all these damn people are becoming weirdos anymore. Kept falling apart. No, what you got, Jens?
Yeah, I'm looking about G.I. Joe, but I can't see the thing about there's the G.I. Joe Transformers. Don't know if that's
yeah, the original version. I don't know why I was thinking of the newer version they did.
Yeah,
they are doing another G.I. Joe crossover Transformer toy. Yeah, so they had the Bumblebee and Stalker one, but they just came. It's out for pre-order. Look to your left and one up from the middle. No. Go over to your right. Over. Now go up one. Go up. Yeah, that one. That's the Soundwave. He comes with Zartan and Zarana. So he's actually the Dreadnought Thunder Machine. That one looks pretty cool. Don't get me wrong, it looks pretty cool, but I had so many problems with the Megatron and his tank that I don't know if I want to spend that kind of money because I know that thing's going to be right around that $90 price tag.
Yeah, you got them little figures with it, haven't you? They're probably
he comes with a lot. I mean, he comes with Ravage on a leash, which I don't think Ravage transforms. He's kind of like a static figure, but he's got Zartans around it, and they each come on their own little blister cards like a normal G.I. Joe would come. And then you have the Soundwave figure.
Yeah, because you're probably looking at like $20 to $30 just for the G.I. Joe figures, aren't you? So then, yeah, because you say you can't buy it without getting the G.I. Joe figures.
Right, yeah, it comes in a big box. It's the same thing they did with Megatron. Megatron came as a his tank, and he came with the Baroness figure. The Bumblebee, same thing. Bumblebee came in that World War II look with the Stalker figure. That's how they sold it.
Yeah. One with a Jeep.
Yeah, that's the Bumblebee with Stalker.
Yeah.
The All Striker.
Oh.
And there's that damn Megatron, his tank with Baroness, which I have. Which I was so disappointed with that one. It was the reason why I never bought Bumblebee and why I'm super hesitant to even think about buying a Soundwave one. That and the fact that Hasbro had pissed me off to the point where I didn't want to buy anything from them anymore. But lately, they have been giving a lot more love to the G1 fans, and they're starting to re-release, or I say not re-release, but they're starting to release a lot more G1 inspired stuff again. And it seems like they're keeping their mouth shut. So maybe they learned their lesson. Like maybe they see what's going on with Bud Light and all these other places.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we should probably about ship here because we're going to sink the whole company.
Yeah, maybe we should give our customer base what they want.
That's all they need to do. Just make freaking good toys. Shut the hell up about your damn politics because nobody wants to hear it, and just give the fans what they want.
Exactly.
You can continue making money. Oh, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with you, Tommy. I mean, I'm tired of all these companies telling us what they want instead of giving us what we want. You look at some of Hasbro's current release of Transformers. I mean, I was in the store today and I'm going, this looks like crap.
Well, I don't know if you'd seen a couple of things they did. They fun I just seen a couple recently, and I had stopped buying them. I haven't bought them in months because I've been so pissed off with the company. So I just recently seen a couple things that were G1 inspired. So they released another Junkion, and they did a recolor of Skids. Now, granted, it's a recolor of Skids from the Legacy line called Crosscut, and I don't know if you've ever heard that character before, Crosscut.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so it was San Diego Comic-Con. This would have been like, God, what was it?
The Transformer.
It was like 1996 or 98. I forget exactly when it was. So it was a San Diego Comic-Con, I think, exclusive from one of these little sideshow companies. And they created this character called Crosscut off the old Skids mold. There he is right there. So this was only available at a Comic-Con. And if you didn't know about the character, you would have never known he existed. But Hasbro was like looking into a lot of that old stuff. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to do a more modern update or modern take and update of that character in this line since we already have that established mold available. I know we talked about sometimes with just the recoloring and everything, it's kind of cheesy, but when you're doing stuff like that, that's when I don't have as big of a problem because they also did a recoloring of Skids where he was in the Diaclone colors, the original Diaclone colors, and released them under a different name, which that was another one I didn't have as big of a problem with.
It was there seems to be two cross cuts because there's that one.
Well, that one's much later on. That's much later on.
Yeah. They spotted up the like sort of van thing, haven't they? Made it like a bumblebee, haven't they? Where it's like, the kids aren't gonna play with that sort of like shitty, cheap sort of like what like 80s sort of like cars were like, we need to make him more sort of like into a Subaru or something. Or
they made him into a Camaro.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. It's like, the kids. Well, because he does look better like that. As in, like,
I like that old Honda Civic look.
Yeah. That's more traditional. I would say, as being from the generation of the sort of like 80s Transformers, it has got sentimental value. But being a 10-year-old kid, I'm like, nah, that's shit. I want to play with that fucking crosscut. As a 10-year-old kid, as a 10-year-old kid, there was then you got a choice: that crosscut or that crosscut.
But that first off, that crosscut didn't exist back then. That fancy part, it didn't exist. And the fact that they have G1 on there is kind of like a misnomer because he's not.
I know that's what threw me.
Yeah, I hate when they do that stuff. It's G1 inspired, but it's definitely not G1. Now that crosscut right there, 100% is definitely G1 and once again inspired and based. But once again, it's still not 100% G1 technically because it wasn't released in the G1 era. By the time this thing was released, I think they were at the tail end of G1 or they were already getting ready to start G2. So technically, he wasn't even G1. But once again, because it was an exclusive and it wasn't part of the original, or should I say traditional line, it technically doesn't really count unless it's been released.
Yeah. If you go in by the book, You want it all regulated in that, yeah. He's not a G1.
Yeah, and most of those cars were Mitsubishis, Hondas, all kinds of stuff like that. Now, it's not to say that they didn't have a few American cars and Italian cars, but yeah, a lot of them were Japanese. But I mean, one of the reasons that they included stuff like him with the Honda Civic is because they already had so many sports cars already.
Yeah,
that they had to have a few things that were different.
Yeah. Well, they did it and all. I found. Like the little like Honda Civics and like other little sort of like shake hat was sort of like more sort of like childlike, weren't they? As in like because they weren't as big usually as the other Transformers. They got treated like children, sort of thing.
Yeah, Luffy has got right several German cars, and one of them, which is funny, is Wheeljack. He's got Atelier on the vehicle. It's actually an Italian. Oh God, what is it? It's an Italian airplane company, or shit. Kind of like Spirit, like airline. Damn it, I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. But yeah, it was an Italian airline.
Mm-hmm. Right, that's from the movie, isn't it? That one.
Yeah, that's ugly as sin. That damn Michael Bay shit just gets on my last nerve. The things, the designs are just so ugly because he wanted to make them look more organic. They're not supposed to look organic, fool.
Nope. The only Wheeljack that we've even received in the live action movies that actually looked like Wheeljack was in Bumblebee.
Yeah, in the beginning.
Redesigned. Is that it? No. That
was just butt ugly.
Can't see the original.
Time profit. A new Transformers movie will be crap when all the Transformers run on electric. Yeah, you've never seen a Transformer at a petrol station. They did talk about it in the Marvel comic stuff. So Sparkplug, which is Spike's, well, would be Spike's dad, but it was Buster in the comics. So Buster Witwicky in the comics. So his dad actually had converted petrol or gas for the Decepticons to use, but he actually poisoned it. And that's why technically the Autobots were supposed to win at the end of the 4-issue run of the Transformers. But because the comic did so well, they wound up rewriting the end where Shockwave comes in and he wins.
Yeah, is that?
Yeah, you can see it right there in green. So you see Lancia on one side, and then green, like in small letters, you see that Attila. That's a Italian airline. The only difference is that I think they either put an extra L in, or they took an L out, or a T, or something like that. They just changed the spelling just a little bit.
Right, yeah, just slightly, yeah, like China does. You got Abby Bass.
Megatron was done real dirty by Bay. Doesn't look like him at all. Yeah, I thought it looked like shit. When I seen part of that one with Shockwave, and I turned it off. Like I said, that's not Shockwave. That looks like garbage.
Yeah, I've got some socks called Hike. Hike. They've got no like swoosh signer out. They're all right socks. I don't know if it was just like one of them things where the hiking socks, Yeah. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Vintage. Oh yeah. Now, Tommy, are these full of shit? I think he is, isn't he? Is Wheeljack a G1? I think he is.
That one? That looks like a G1. That looks like the exact same one I have.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
I still have my original box of mine. Granted, it's not in great shape, but I still have the original box and everything. The only thing that happened, and I talked about it in the full length version of the clip I showed earlier with all the Autobot cars, is unfortunately when we'd moved from the Northeast down to Florida, I don't know why it happened, but Wheeljack's shoulder cannons and his little clear wings that sit on the back, they got packed into a different box than all the toys I had for some reason, and that box got lost by the moving company.
Oh, yeah. Sounds a bit like my Optimus Prime fists stuff thing. No.
Yeah, so I've been looking for replacement parts when I have the extra money to get more, bot parts so I can repair some of the figures I have. And unfortunately, I just have not come across those clear wings. And somebody was selling them, but they wanted like $25 just for the clear wings. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
That's too much.
Oh, you ever see the prices they charge for some of the guns for some of these Transformers?
Yeah. Heck, there was one time I was looking for the head for a Power Master Optimus Prime because I lost mine, and the guy was asking $400 for it. It's like, it's a plastic head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'd probably be able to get the figure for about 200, wouldn't you?
Less than that sometimes.
Yeah. Some people, they just think, oh yeah, well, I'll say a real high price and maybe you'll bargain me down, sort of thing.
Well, what a lot of these guys are doing is they've dirtily found the way that, hey, if I part this out, I can make more money off of it.
Yeah, you were saying that, weren't you? Like, yeah, you separate it and charge more.
Now, I won't do that when I was selling mine. I would try to complete them the best I could. Now, granted, if I didn't have the extra parts, that's just how I was going to sell it. But if I had extra parts for it, whether it was hands or guns or whatever, I would include it with it every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah, $400 for a plastic head. You get ahead with that price, right? You should. Yeah, and I agree, Time Profit. You can't even see what the hell they transform from, and that's one of the reasons I couldn't stand the base shit. Get them custom 3D printed. Yeah, I know you can do that, but a lot of us that are like hardcore collectors of these old Transformers, we want original parts with ours when we're collecting them. So, because they do make some really cool things, and I did pick one of them up. It's by a third-party company. I know Decepticon was talking about that earlier, but I picked up a third-party head piece for Ironhide. So instead of having that original Diaclone version where his head is just a sticker on the seat, it's a slide-on piece, so it actually has like a cartoon version of his head.
That's very cool, because the other way I was able to get an Ironhide with a cartoon version of his head was the reissue of Ironhide that I purchased, and it came with the cardboard cutout that you put on the figure.
Yeah. Yeah, they released some other stuff for Ironhide and Ratchet, so they sell like an extra set where you can like get more like the boxy arms and stuff like that instead of like those weird looking arms that they had. They had a whole bunch of add-ons you could put on your G1 figures. They're really cool looking stuff, but I mean, I just wanted the head. I thought that was good enough. But funny thing, Ironhide, Ratchet, and actually all the original 84 Transformers, the reason they had the seats and everything is because they were part of Diaclone line, and they weren't meant to be individual thinking robots. They were just kind of like mech suits. That's why Ironhide didn't have a head, and he just had the seat where the guy would sit down and look right out the clear plastic window of the mech suit. Yeah, they are. Yeah, Soul Assassin, they absolutely are. But a lot of us that are purists and want to have like all the original stuff, it gets really hard to start swapping parts out. And I know one of the things I could have done is I could have got 3D printed parts to repair a lot of these bots that I have to sell, but I feel like I'm cheapening the toy by not putting original parts on. So I hold out for the original parts before I complete them and sell them.
Yeah, it's like cars where they do vintage cars where they always want the original, so it is an original where if it's newly done parts, it's basically like a new car. Might be like the shell of it, and yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, even the stickers, and it's not to take anything away from Toy Hacks because they make some wonderful reproductions of those original stickers. But even then, if I could get my hands on an original sticker sheet to put on a Transformer, and I can get it like at least at a reasonable price, I'll do that first. But sometimes you can't. Like, for example, I have some of the mailaways. So I have all the mailaways. So I have the Power Dashers and I have the Omnibots, and the Power Dashers had stickers all over them that over time, of course, since they were just cheap plastic toys, those stickers would get worn the hell off. So they actually make an awesome looking reproduction label set for all the Power Dashers and the Omnibots. So I'd pick that up with, the sole intention of putting stickers back on my Power Dashers.
Yeah, it's like with vintage cars and that. There's some parts that they just can't get because like they're being used and they're not in production no more, and so they will have to get like a reproduction of it.
Well, I mean, and the reason I don't feel it lessens this quite as much with the stickers is because that was definitely a good that would get destroyed over time. Especially if they were stored in heat and they weren't in a controlled environment, those stickers just get ruined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's like with them vintage cars and it with tires, probably. They'll have them like made to look vintage, but they'll be like brand new, like as in they'll be good enough to go past the standards of whatever tires standards that they have, because some old vintage cars, I think probably their tyres, they won't pass the grade because it's like the tread in deep enough or whatever.
Luffy. There's the question, huh? What kind of kid were you? Did you put on all the stickers on your toys or were you doing it the wrong way? I would put all the stickers on and put them on the way that I seen them on the pictures. And of course, you go by what they show in the direction sheet as well. I would say the only thing I had a problem with putting on, and I didn't want to put them on because I think it made the character look stupid, was Starscream's eyes. I did not like the way the yellow eyes looked on the Starscream figure, so I did not put those on. All the other stickers went on, though.
Yeah, I put stickers on mine, but they'd
I
always
put the decals on mine, too.
They're so small, weren't they? Especially on the Transformers.
What was that, Mike?
I was saying I would put the decals on mine too.
No, it was something about that. It was like just a little extra thing to do with them too. I mean, and I don't know. I'm sure you did too. I got very almost anal about making sure that I lined them up properly. I spent a whole lot of time trying to line those stickers up just right, make sure I didn't mess them up.
Yeah, you couldn't just go order them like today.
No, and there were times where I would be putting the stickers on, and because my dad liked to build model airplanes and other models, he said, "Can I help you?" And I'm, well, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but you got the tweezers out and everything. Yeah.
Yep.
You got the tweezers out, the magnifying glass, and your tongue hanging out the side of your mouth.
Yeah. I won't so bad at sticking them on. Obviously, they won't, but usually I found like after about a week or two of playing it, either one of the corners would come off and then it just irritate me, so I just take it off, or it just sort of like go white, when you like rub off the sort of like, but some of the Transformers stickers, I think there was them wet, like them where you had to put them in water on it and then stick them on.
Well, the Transformers didn't have that. I mean,
Oh,
there's usually you see stuff like that in model kits and everything.
yeah, because them transfer sticker things, right? But yeah, as I say, I only had 2 Transformers, and I think like I stuck them on, but like yeah, they came off and that, and I wasn't really too bothered.
Well, what I found the key to putting like, especially like Transformers, putting those stickers on, the key was to never put your finger on the back end where the stick was. You had to grab them by like the edge of the sticker and then position them without touching the back. And if you did it that way and you did it nice and carefully and then push it down real hard, they wouldn't come off like the wheel jack and a few of the other ones I had. None of those stickers ever came off the way I put them down. Maybe I was just fortunate, but yeah, none of them came off of my original ones, at least.
Yeah, I think I rushed mine, and I probably did, like, because I want all that great. You know when like have to take, you think it's looking good, but then it's like, oh no, and so you have to take the corner off a bit and then like reposition it a few times, and by that time, like loads of like dust or whatever's got on it and that, and then it's like, oh, but yeah.
Time profit. The trick was to put the sticker on and then put cellophane tape on top. I've seen people do that when I've gotten secondhand examples of toys where the sticker is coming off and they just put tape over top to keep it down. Yeah.
I used to do that.
You know, another thing I used to do, if I got one secondhand, put the stickers back down, just get some of that really good glue that doesn't destroy stickers, and just put some of that hardcore glue, just a little smear of it behind the sticker, and then tap it back down. Keep it in place. I mean, as long as the paint job's good on the vehicle, that's what I would do.
Yeah, and make sure your hands aren't greasy, because probably
the oils.
Yeah, well, that's probably looking back. You know, being a kid, you're not going to get plastic gloves and that, and like you think your hands are like pretty clean and that, but I might have had like a chocolate bar or something beforehand, and then I'm sticking it on and like yeah.
As long as you didn't have your hand down the crack of your ass before you start putting your stickers on, you should have been fine as long as you wiped them off on your shirt or something.
Oh, well, I don't know. Like, I think I got to that stage being a kid, realizing that like 60% of these stickers, they're going to peel off in about a week. So I sometimes wasn't going to be real careful, because it depended on what glue it was. If it was real good glue, then yeah, they'd stick on. But yeah, it was that 50-50 where I guess, oh yeah.
I don't know. I still have toys that are from the 70s, and they still have their original stickers on them.
Yeah, but they'll be faded by now, won't they?
Oh, yeah, they're definitely faded out.
Yeah.
A lot of them are faded or scratched a little bit, but yeah, all the original stickers are still on them.
Yeah, but well, the other thing when I was a kid, I realised that these stickers faded, so like I didn't really pay much attention to them and that. I used to like stick them on that, but because I didn't really pay that much attention to when I was sticking them on, they didn't stick on that great. Most of them stuck on all right-ish, but yeah. And as I say, usually because I played with them and that, I'd always like get one of the corners, you know, ruffled and that, and so then sooner or later I'd just peel it off, because it was like, unless I should have like glued it down, but you know, when you're a kid, you're thinking, I'm not getting glue. That's like going to take me 10 minutes or whatever.
Well, I'm worried about gluing your fingers together.
Yeah.
Time Prophet says he started painting them with permanent ink pen, and all his cars became black. Hey, what's up, Glenzer? Good to see you, man. Toys are great. When the movies and cartoons they were based on were great. Absolutely. What you got there, Luffy? Mine didn't. My Starscream has his eyes still. I saw him when he was in my nephew's birthday. He has old figures. Nice. But I got one more clip, Jens, and this is something that you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna take a look at Hot Rod.
Yeah, I know.
What's going on? We're hanging out with Cliff Jumper. What's up, Cliff Jumper? Oh, Cliff Jumper loves his lettuce, and we are hanging out with the master of the Transformers with Cliff Jumper. And of course, you know what that means. Transformers related. We are going back to 1986, and we are showing off Hot Rod.
If you're gonna ride, Dano, ride in style.
Turbo rubbing, young punk. I'll straighten you out yet.
This one is a really cool piece. I was really happy when I was able to acquire this and get it into my collection. Hot Rod is such a very cool character, and of course many of us remember in the 1986 movie, he becomes Rodimus Prime. Here we go with the transformation of Hot Rod. So you just kind of grab the legs right here, just pull them down, and then you flip his feet out, pull the arms out of the way, and then this piece right here, I almost forgot, gotta kind of lift this up and turn this out of the way like that. And you can lift the head up, spin it around, tuck it in like that underneath the little waist piece. Continue to slide that all the way around and just kind of turn his forearms forward. And there you have Hot Rod. The really cool thing about this one, and this one was a bit of a variation, because if you notice, you see those toes? Those toes are actually metal. He came in two different versions. So he came with the early die-cast metal toed version, and then later on he came with the plastic toed version.
Not bad for an old-timer. Old-timer? That's something you'll never be if you don't get back to the city.
He'll go ahead and we'll get his weapons out, put his weapons in his hand. He did come with two different blasters. They're just slightly different. So it's not to be confused to think they're the exact same blaster. So if you have one with two of the exact same blasters, well, somebody gypped you and they gave you two of the same blaster. But there we go with Hot Rod. Hot Rod was listed as a Cavalier.
What? You can win if you're dead. Decepticons.
Ah, so yeah, the like difference was the feet.
Yep. The later version coming out with the plastic black toes, but that early one came out with the die-cast toes.
Yeah. You got it, huh?
Yeah, I got lucky, and not only did I get one of them with the metal toes, I wound up getting two. And I can't remember if I sold. I think I might have sold the second metal toed version. I kept the one that I pieced together for myself, because when I got them, that back piece that's part of the hood with the big wing on it, the one I kept for myself, that somebody had broken that, and I had to like put it back together. Luckily, it was just I was able to glue the parts that were broken. It just went right back together like that, no problem. I've never had an issue with it when I transformed it. So
yeah, that's good for you, man. And what do you say about the guns being different?
So the two guns were just slightly different, because I've seen some people sell it where the two guns for a G1 version of Hot Rod look exactly the same. So they wind up with two of the same gun, and they just put, he's 100% complete. Yeah, that second gun is wrong. There's a slight variation, a change in the second gun. So no, I haven't run across any biker mice. We didn't have any of them. The Predator throne, he didn't come on a wagon. What you got, Jens?
Yeah, you'll be the best judge. Is that the difference between them?
Well, that is part of the difference. Yeah, one is like this slightly, ever so slightly longer, and also the same thing that he's got with that wing on the back, like that big wedge-shaped wing on his back, the yellow wing. On the guns, there's a wing shape on the back end of the guns that you can't see unless you're looking at it from the top-down version. The one wing is slightly different than the shorter gun. There's an ever so slight variation in it. But that's how you tell if somebody had slipped two of the same gun in or not.
Right, yeah. I would say like the barrels are different, aren't they? And
yep.
Because like, yeah, the handles look quite. Oh, right there. I think because that might be the camera shot away, but I thought I would say it looks a bit longer. But let's see if I can see the top view. I don't think it is going to show me.
Yeah, if you don't know what you're looking for in one of those, like especially if you're new to collecting, yeah, there goes a good shot of it.
Oh yeah. You can see like there's a bit of like a hollow sort of like eye line sort of thing, where that one it hasn't. It sticks out, doesn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's small variations. Like I said, the person maybe that's getting new to collecting would never know that. So, I mean, it is a shame that some people try to rip somebody off by lying to them. But unfortunately, you do get that a lot of time in the secondhand market. So,
yeah, because
you just got to be careful. That's all. You just got to be careful.
Because I tell you, if I was buying a hot rod and like I got it and I got two guns this time, I'd enjoy, yeah. Like, because usually if someone has two guns, they usually are the same, aren't they? So they're like not weighted different, so they're both weighted the same. But yeah, good tip there, though.
Yeah, this is two, maybe two. Yeah, Luffy. What the Rodimus Prime figure comes with the trailer, yeah. But I mean, it was so heavily redesigned from the hot rod. I mean, the only thing that stayed the same was the big wing thing on the back. The way that changed, the way the arms and the chest and everything came down. As far as Rodimus and Hot Rod, Rodimus didn't have pull down legs like Hot Rod did, so his legs were just straight, and you just put the trailer right over top of his legs. I mean, they partially reused the designs of Hot Rod, but they changed it a bit when they did the Rodimus figure. Because I have the Rodimus one too. I have the re-release of him.
Yeah, I have the original. Actually, yesterday on Pop Talk, Aaron was talking about how he liked Rodimus Prime, so I went and grabbed my Rodimus Prime figure.
It was a pretty cool toy. It was actually pretty tall too, because he was a lot bigger than Optimus.
Yeah, even though the car shouldn't have been it, because Optimus is a truck, isn't he? But I remember the toy being an inch or two bigger than Optimus Prime, which was like, or 2 or 3 inches bigger. So it was like, yeah. But it might have been one of them where it was like, yeah, bigger toys, the like parents will buy it because it was quite expensive, weren't they? Transformers, considering the size. But.
Well, Optimus Prime, even though the cab section is, the commander, the robot, even though he was smaller than Rodimus Prime, overall in the truck form, though, Optimus was bigger than Hot Rod because most of the length of the original Prime figure was in that trailer. And his trailer was a lot bigger than the trailer section that Hot Rod came with.
Yeah. So I thought Optimus Prime should have been a bit bigger, or the rest of the he should have been a bit smaller. But
well, here's a funny thing, and I've gotten into this discussion with a few people. If you look at the way they did a lot of the size comparisons of a lot of these Transformers, so some of the cars, as far as like say Jazz and Blue Streak and everything, They are technically a little bit out of scale with Optimus Prime, just a little bit. Not by much, just a little bit. But if you look at the out of scale between some of the Decepticons, okay.
Good.
I just noticed it now. I'm so sorry, Mike.
Yeah. That's all right.
Okay. It's good.
And I still have his trailer section.
Awesome. Yeah. Do you still got the little solar panel things for the gun inside or no?
No, unfortunately, I lost those years ago.
Yeah, those are one of the things that frequently get lost for him. That and his big black freaking gun, the modified version of his hot rod gun.
I know. When I was saying about Optimus Prime losing his fist, you was all like, oh, yeah, you should have fucking looked after it. But now, where's Hot Rod stuff? Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you talk about Hot Rod. Look, yeah, you kept Optimus Prime's fists. But yeah, those Hot Rod's like stuff.
Oh, so what I was going to say about the scaling. So while most of the cars for the Autobots were fairly well in scale, most of them, when it came to the Decepticons, as far as the Seeker jets, the scaling was so far off on them. It was ridiculous because that F-15 Douglas that Starscream and the other jets, turned into, is a lot bigger than a damn semi truck. Because I think they said that Prime is supposed to be a white. That's the name of the company, White. Top over cab is what they call it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but like I know it's a famous sort. Well, not a fit, but quite a famous sort of truck because there's not many. Because like the thing comes down with them trucks, don't they? The full carriage sort of like folds forward so they can get to the end battery or whatever gears and all that shit.
Mike was just talking about this earlier. Mike, you want to take that one?
Yeah, it was Power Master Optimus Prime. Because he came with the cab in the trailer, but then you can transform the cab again and stick it onto the trailer, and that's where it came with the larger head that you would stick on to the cab. It came with actually 4 guns. I was about to say 2 guns, but 4 guns.
Right.
It came with 2 hand cannons and 2 big double-barreled shoulder cannons.
Yep.
So what was it called? Optimus Prime?
Power Master Optimus Prime.
All right.
Yeah, because he came with this little Power Master called High Q that you would transform. You would stick it into the grill of the cab. That would allow you to transform the figure. And
yeah, because there were lockouts on a lot of the Power Master figures.
So what?
Yeah, that was the one that down. Go down, go over. Oh, yeah, that one too. But you go over one more. It shows you the whole thing. That one. So because you had the standard cab figure. Mike, you can go ahead with that.
You had the standard cab figure, as you can see there, and then High Q would go into the grill section, so you can transform it. And the thing about it with Power Master Prime, as you can see in the smaller picture toward the left of his leg, you can transform the trailer into a base. Yeah. And in Japan, it actually came with another part of the figure called God Jinrai. And they actually did release it in the States, I think it was back in 2004, where you got the original Power Master Prime plus the Apex armor that they called God Jinrai.
Let's see.
Here's a little side note. You remember what they called it in Japan? Because they didn't call it Headmaster or Power Master.
Super God Master Force.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the one with the Apex thing? Yeah, right. Yeah, so you use like what would be like the old school Optimus Prime as like the base, sort of like you put it like in the base, and then the trailer is the legs and arms, and so
and technically part of the torso too, if I remember correctly.
Right? Yeah. So the trailer and the Optimus Prime truck thing, all combines into the big Optimus Prime.
Yeah,
Right.
Luffy says he has that one.
Yeah. I didn't even know. And this is with an extra armor sort of stuff, with an extra trailer. So can you think of then? If you bought sort of like the normal power one, can you buy the Apex armor thing like separately, or is it one of them where it's like no, you'll have to sell?
If you can find it on eBay, you can. I mean, like I said,
Right,
back in 2004, where Hasbro actually, along with Takara, released the whole set, so you got both parts. Now, what was interesting about both the re-release and the original is there's one release where the cab of Optimus Prime is made of all plastic. And then there's another release where the cab of Optimus Prime is die-cast metal.
Oh, yeah. Is the die-cast metal one more expensive?
Yeah.
I'll blame them. But you pay for quality, though, and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because, I was saying to Tommy, like, that's one thing I liked about Transformers. Even though Tommy, like, argues, like, oh, no, you seeing it through rose-tinted Transformer glasses, but there was pretty much metal. But I only had some Transformers and that, but yeah.
Well, it was actually kind of surprising. I mean, I know I've gotten this discussion with a few people when it came to like GoBots and Transformers, and I did that breakdown video about the myths, about where everybody said, oh, well, the Transformers had a lot more die-cast in it, and most of those figures didn't have as much die-cast in them as people remembered. For example, the two trucks that I'd shown earlier in the Toy Break short, Inferno and Grapple, the only thing metal on those two figures is the bottom of their feet. That is it. There's no die cast anywhere else in those figures. They're 100% plastic. And even Prime, it was the front end of the cab that folds down.
Yeah.
It was that front end, and then it was the feet. That was it. That was all the metal that was in Prime.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, Jazz, I believe Jazz had more metal in him. Technically, if you're talking by square inch of the toy, Jazz had more metal in him than Optimus Prime did, because his whole bottom of his feet were die cast, and then the chest was all die cast. So technically, he had more than Prime did. But when I was looking at some of those GoBots, I knew that a lot of those GoBots had more die-cast in them than Transformers. But when I started looking at the early ones like Turbo and stuff like that, his die-cast is his whole entire chest, like back and front. The whole thing is die-cast wrapped all the way around. There's not one Transformer that I could think of that had die-cast that wrapped around from the front to the back. Not one.
I can't think of any myself.
But I mean, still overall, the complexity that Takara originally brought to that toy line, the complexity in the Transformers, the transformation rather, that is what actually made it stand out more than anything else to the GoBots. I mean, you got all the accessories, and of course, by the time they partner up with Hasbro, and now you've got a bio and a backstory for every single one of these figures. It was all that. It was that complex transformation aspect. And it's not to say that all of them were complex, because some of the mini cards and stuff like that were super simple, about the same complexity level as most of the GoBots. So then GoBots tried to step up their game. They made the Super GoBots, which were more complex than the smaller ones. But by then, they were already in a losing battle with Takara and Hasbro, and it was pretty much over at that point.
Fucked up.
No, they definitely did because they beat Transformers to the market by about a year.
Yeah.
And here's the funniest thing in the world, though. Everybody thinks, the minute Transformers hit, they just wiped the floor with GoBots. Here's a funny little story that most people don't know about, or maybe they've glossed over. Japan tried to release Transformers in the U.S. under a different name called Diacron, and it failed miserably at market. That's why when Hasbro said, well, we want to bring it to States, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and they're like, well, we already tried it, and you haven't tried this. And that's what made the biggest difference for Hasbro and the United States, because now you have a backstory. You have something that's going to make kids gravitate towards these characters. Mm-hmm. That was the one thing that they added, and of course, like I said, the complex transformations is what absolutely killed GoBots at that point, because now you got a cool package with cool artwork, an amazing background story and bio and everything with complex transformations. And yeah, they killed it with that 3-point marketing strategy, regular ads, comics, and cartoons. Mm-hmm. And they blew GoBots out of the water. Like GoBots, even though they had a year lead, they didn't put their cartoon out until about the same time as Transformers did, because they already knew that they were in production. So they hurried up and partnered up with Hanna-Barbera to create a cartoon, because they knew they were going to be in trouble if they didn't. But by then, it was really already too late. They waited too long.
Yeah, because with Transformers, now you can correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but I believe it was the comics that came out first.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. Because I think, after Bob Budiansky had done all the bios and stuff like that, they had actually had him start to work on some of the comics, and I forget who else he worked with, but I mean, Jim Shooter came up with the original intro to the story, which for the most part, it remained the same for God knows how many years before they started doing the what do they call that? The continuity,
the aligned continuity,
aligned continuity shit they started doing. But the original story stayed the same for over 20 plus years and never changed from what Jim Shooter originally wrote down. And then, of course, all the amazing stuff that Bob had done with the series. I mean, the guy between Shooter and Bob, I don't think they got enough credit for the success that Hasbro wound up getting because of them. But yeah, and also with the Sunbow cartoon, and that always killed me a little bit. Marvel was in partnership with Sunbow to create the Transformers cartoon, and how they fuck shit up so bad in that cartoon. I just never understood it. Like they messed up the colors of Rumble and Frenzy. There was quite a few episodes. Like there was one in particular where they were painting the Statue of Liberty because there was some kind of rust thing that was going on, and they were painting it, and you see gears up at the top of the statue spraying, and he's all blue. Like they used to do that stuff so frequently.
Yeah, I've heard that there was miscommunication, no communication between the comics division and the television division as to, which character was which when it came to Rumble and Frenzy. And
yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy. Japanese series Starfleet, where the X-Bomber transformed into a giant robot. Yeah, I mean, Japan was coming up with all kinds of good shit like that. Yeah. The GoBots did have stupid, simple names, but you know what? Some of the Transformers did too. There was a few that had pretty simple names because, and this goes into what Time Prophet was saying. I thought the toys were made first. They were under Takara, but they weren't Transformers back then. They were part of Diaclone and they were part of Microchange, two completely separate and unrelated lines. So the original names were stupid simple. Like you had a Tape Condor, Tape Jaguar, Cassette Man, who becomes Soundwave later on, Walter P-38 Uncle, which winds up becoming Megatron. So Optimus Prime was originally called Battle Convoy. Ultra Magnus was not really a separate character. He was just an upgraded version of Battle Convoy. So there was a lot of things that they took from Takara. And when they did, the transformations into the lore and they started creating bios and everything like that, they changed some of that stuff up. And that is something funny too. Like Ultra Magnus doesn't come out until 86, but his toy was already available before that.
Mm-hmm. Also in Japan, G1 Optimus is called Convoy.
Yeah. Yeah, he was originally just Battle Convoy. And like if you could find I know at one point they did re-releases of some of the old Diaclone stuff, and they had the Battle Convoy stickers and everything all over the trailer. But the color scheme was exactly the same. They really didn't change anything except changing the stickers along the trailer. And God, I think that was just about it. I don't think they really changed anything else. Like, I think even the stickers on it were the same on the Battle Convoy. Yeah, there he is right there in the middle. Yeah, even the stickers were the same. Oh, they added the Autobot symbols.
How much are them worth then?
Oh God, the original ones?
Yeah.
I'm sure I'd have to sell my house, at least one child.
Oh yeah, and is that boxed or unboxed? Because look at this this one. It looks because there's a bit of frading around it, and so it looks like it's originally like from when it was released. So
yeah, that looks like an original box. I see the three little colors. You see, it looks like it's either is that green, yellow, and red, or is that blue, yellow, and red? I can't really tell. I think it might be blue. So the blue, yellow, and red are actually the Diaclone figures. So these were like little tiny 1-inch guys with magnetic feet. And they would actually sit in the cab of Prime, and one would actually sit in the trailer.
Yeah. The blue, yellow, and red. Yeah. I see what you mean now. Yeah, them little. It's like I'll see if I can get a thingy close up on that.
Yeah, I do have one that was made by a Korean company. So before they started doing what became their car robo line, which is part of a Battle Convoy and a lot of the other, or all the G1 cars, Autobot cars, they were doing like futuristic vehicles and shit like that. So I have one from a Korean company. It's kind of like a Korean knockoff of the Diaclone, one of the Diaclone sets. And I do have one of the little pilot guys. It looks exactly the same as the car version. They did an excellent job recreating it. Yeah. Oh, you got it?
Yeah, man. Yeah. You can see the little dudes above the,
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the little Diaclone pilots.
Yeah. So did they go in the cabin because I
Yep. Yeah, two sit in the cab, and then the little missile platform thing that's in the trailer. That's where the other one sits.
Yeah, that explains why. Yeah, Optimus Prime had like a missile like launcher in the back with a seat on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I always thought, like, yeah, he'd be able to control it like remotely, but.
Well, technically, they could also fit in a little roller character too, because he did have like a bench seat on him. But yeah, they like that the little launcher thing that's in the back. It actually had like a little cockpit canopy that you would pop open, and they had a single seat in there where you could put one of the Diaclone pilots. And what's going on, Frankie? Man, good to see you, man. Loves these Transformer streams. Thank you, appreciate it, man. This is my bread and butter, man. This is my my favorite. Yeah, you'd be an MP3. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. They did make a Soundwave into a MP3 player.
So yeah, there's that little buggy thing without the wheels on, which is also a bit of a mystery.
All right, so here I want to get into something that only a hardcore Transformer fan should know. So I'm gonna put Mike on the spot. So Mike, some of the parts that Optimus Prime, the original one, came with, everybody says the one rubber line and the little hose thing, they say it's a gas nozzle. Do you agree with that?
Oh God, you had to ask me that one of all the questions.
You're not against the clock.
All
mate.
right. As a kid, I thought it was a gas nozzle, but as I got older, I'm thinking, no, it's got to be a welder so he can repair himself.
Yep. And you would be correct, sir, because if you actually look at it, it's not shaped like a gas thing. It's actually shaped like a welder. And it connects to a box like a welder would. So, yeah, it's actually supposed to be a welder because if you read the instructions for Prime, it's supposed to be a repair bay. You know how many kids got that wrong? And correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they say it was a gas nozzle on the packaging, even though it wasn't?
I think they did. If I remember correctly from my original packaging, they did call it a gas nozzle. But as I got older, I looked at it again. I'm going, this isn't a gas nozzle.
You didn't think I was going to come in with that question, did you?
No. No, I did not.
That link was supposed to be at the end. No worries. What you got there? The giant robot in Starfleet? Oh, okay. And Deus Ex. I'm sure I passed a bunch of Japanese version Transformers at flea markets. And here's another thing I've talked about in the past. So most of us probably remember Kevin Smith and Mallrats, right?
Yep.
And so he goes to that, US 1 indoor flea market. I used to go to that place all the damn time. It was a legit place. Didn't look anything like it did in the movie. But one of the things that they had back then, they didn't have high regulations on toys that could be sold in those places. And they used to sell legit toys from Japan. So my early Soundwave that I got was not the Transformer branded one, but I got the early version from Takara. It was part of their Microchange line, and I had Cassette Man. And the only thing really different about them is a few of the stickers were different. And obviously, he had Cassette Man on the front plastic door, and he came with a pair of fake headphones. But that was it. Now, when it comes to Ravage, Laserbeak, Frenzy, and Rumble, and all them, they were all exactly the same. Once again, they just didn't have Decepticon stickers, and they came with little names like Cassette Man, Cassette Jaguar, Cassette Condor, and shit like that. But they were exactly the same as what they got released in the Transformers. The only one that was completely recolored and technically didn't exist in Takara was Buzzsaw that they wind up putting with the Soundwave figure. And what's going on, Vinny?
Hey, yo. How we doing, guys?
Good.
I had to wait for my stupid storm to pass because, again, I don't need my computer being fried. But I was filming something for Wednesday, so while I was waiting, so that's good. We got some figures. It's gonna be a good show, I think, between all the Transformer stuff you got going on, and this is more on the Joe side of things. So
awesome.
A little bit of some '80s magic, but yeah, how's it shaking, everybody?
Oh, it's going well.
Nice.
Tree Rock Creations also in the chat. What's going on, Tree Rock? Good to see you. Good to see you. What service you use? I'm using StreamYards.
Mm-hmm.
They raped me early for my yearly subscription, bastards. I was supposed to have till October, and they hit me 2 months early, and I wasn't expecting it.
Right, bastards.
Toy model stores in Japan are huge. Yeah, if I was ever going to go anywhere, I would like to go to Japan. I'd like to go someplace where they have like a big Transformers toy museum. Not to say that I don't have one in my own house, but I would like to see a lot more of the older Diaclone stuff.
Oh yeah, dude, that'd be killer.
Yeah, leave a Godfather quote in his comments.
Thank you, brother. Nice.
Yeah, man, we've been running down the list of all these different old Transformers and everything, and having a really good discussion about them. So it's been fun so far. But I want to hit on another topic. Now, this one is technically outside the Transformer scope, so I hope nobody gets mad. Even though this was Transformer and Rollout, technically it's still rolling because it's car related. Now, there's been a couple people that asked about this, so I went ahead and I put this together and just give a little bit of rundown on some of these old school cars that I have. Here we go.
Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome back as we are hanging out with Indy, the archaeological pig. And what are we showing off today? Well, of course, this one is going to be a little bit older. It was requested that we talk about this line, even if it's ever so briefly. So what are we talking about? Talking about Matchbox and Hot Wheel cars. Now, many of us growing up, a lot of us had these older cars back in the day, and they are still in production today, so they have not completely lost their value. I have this old Matchbox case right here, and let's take out the first tray and just take a look at some of the little vehicles we got here. So we got Penguin. Get exactly what year this one was made. This was made in 1979, and it was made by Corgi of Great Britain. We got the 007. I keep forgetting what this one is called. We even got an old school gangster looking Spider-Man car. I believe this one is from the 70s as well. This one is from 1976. A lot of old school stuff in here. Got this little crazy car right here. I believe this one is also from the 70s. Yes, this is Hot Wheels, and this is also 1976. Now, the second case has some pretty strange gems. This one is damn near completely metal all the way around, and this is by Played It, and it's called the Mako Shark. This one actually had a pop-up hood to show off the engine. We also got this Snoopy Dune Buggy. I believe this one is also from the 70s. Oh no, this is actually 1958 in Japan. Aviva. How about that? And I don't know if you guys remember these little cars that were done up as almost like characters. So I have a few of these. I have one that's like a devil. And then, of course, the solid stamped metal cars that they had out in the day. Anyway, guys, you remember any of these? Did you have a collection of Hot Wheel or Matchbox, Corgi, or one of the other companies that were doing some of these cars? I have many more like this. They're all just buried in the back. Eventually, I will get to them all and show off some of the really interesting pieces I have. Hope you had a good one in this trip down memory lane with the archaeological pig, Indy. Later, y'all.
Dude, that was pretty damn cool. Yeah. I got a good number of
Jens got it too.
Nice.
hell yeah.
Yeah, the Lotus Esprit it's called.
That is the Lotus, yes.
Wait. If you're going to show that Lotus off and it's 007, we need 007 Jens.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's the Lotus Esprit is from the film The Spy Who Loved Me, and it was driven by one of the test drivers for Lotus. So in the film, he does a really impressive course drive through, like he's training. But yeah, Lotus Esprit.
Hell
Very
yeah, man.
nice car.
That's it. Keeping it classy.
Did you ever see the larger versions of those they did? They were like maybe 3 times the size of the little Matchbox ones, and they actually had firing missiles and everything off of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it was in the back. Because in the film, he goes underwater and there's a helicopter above him with this really nice looking bird called Donimo. And in the sort of back window, it's not a window, it's like rockets that the rocket home seeker just fires up from beneath the water, comes out of the sea and blows up the helicopter.
Nice.
No, see, because I had a friend of mine who had that sized one, and he had brought it over and showed it to me because all I had was the little Matchbox one. I had that, and I had the Aston Martin where it's got the the little lever on the side where the roof pops up and it shoots out a little tiny plastic red figure that sits in the
the
passenger
ejection seat.
Yeah. So I had those. So he brought his Lotus over. And I was like, oh, okay. It looked just like a regular Lotus car. And then he pops the fins out and everything like that. And I was like, whoa. And then he shows me that it's got the button to shoot the missiles out of the back. And I thought it had something that fired out of the front too. Like this thing had all kinds of like bells and whistles on it. I was like, damn, that is cool.
Yeah, it might have had some like torpedoes because I think in the film there's front torpedoes. I know there's definitely man bombs because the Baird, who's the Russian Baird, she pushes the button to drop these man bombs, and Bonds like looks at her to like say, "How do you know there's that sort of weaponry?" And she says that she stole the blueprints a year or two ago.
That one was just in one Roger Moore movie, right?
Yeah. It's the one where at the beginning it's like he's already shagged a bird because she's like a honey trap who then like tells these dudes, like Russian dudes, oh, Bond's leaving, and then he does this like skiing sort of like stuff and that.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, and it's I think it's the one because I can't remember. Yeah, it's the one where he flies off the cliff, but he's got a parachute, and that stunt was really dangerous because the stuntman that did it, when he skis off, he has to like get rid of his skis, and if he doesn't get rid of his skis enough and kicks them away from him, when he opens the parachute, the skis will like collapse his parachute, and so he has to wait until the skis are at a distance. So
yeah. It was The Spy Who Loved Me, I think. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I loved all those movies, man. They were so freaking good.
Jens, tell us how a fish got into the Lotus. And real quick, what's going on, Curtis YZ? Man, good to see you. You're driving. Just be safe.
Our fish got into the Oh, yeah. That's because I think when Bond's sort of like coming up off the like bottom of the ocean and driving up onto the beach, he opens his window a little bit too early, and a fish goes in. But no, it's just a bit in the Bond film because it's a Roger Moore, so it makes it look like a fish has got into his car, and so then he like just throws it out as he's like driving up. And in that scene, like the car didn't drive up; they like had it towed, but they filmed it, so it looked like it was driving up the beach, but it wasn't. It was getting towed up the beach. We got towed out of water because the engine wouldn't have been.
It was a cool looking car. You know who bought it?
Yeah.
Elon Musk paid $1 million for that car.
Did he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, great! He should copy it and make it real. You know, put it out in the market for everyone.
Oh yeah, do like Titanic tours.
Well, no, you can't do that. You need a video game controller, and then people will die.
You need unexperienced people working the video controller.
Yeah. Well, if he's gonna build one, I'm sure he's not gonna put like diversity crews on it, so it'll work. No affirmative action.
Oh yeah. Frankie, yeah, you probably have the same one that I had that I showed off earlier, the 007 Lotus. That was done by I believe it was Corgi. Yeah, it was Corgi. Yeah, because my Aston Martin, they were both the same. They were both done by Corgi of Great Britain. Tail 29, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Time Prophet, Bond also drove an orange Lotus. And he stood next to that one that I showed. Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. There was like little missiles and that. Oh.
Yeah. Like I said, my friend had brought it over, man. I was impressed with it. I thought it was really cool. I mean, I was never a huge James Bond fan. My father was. I wasn't. I was more into the sci-fi stuff. I was into Star Trek, and I was into Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, and then, of course, when Transformers came out, that as well. So that was my thing. Yeah, yep, there it is. Yeah, and you can see where the fins and everything, they kind of pop. They pop in.
Yeah. And there's like the little holes for the missiles to like stick in. I think.
Yeah,
that look cool.
Yeah, I think that's to like trigger them off.
And like I said, the car was much bigger than the Matchbox stuff. Like this car had to have been at least like I would say 5 or 6 inches long.
Yeah, I was say I think that's a small one because it's only like £6. I might buy myself one.
I mean, not unless this is a smaller version of what he had, because I thought the one he had was a little bit more detailed than that, but this looks very similar. I don't know.
This
is a reproduction too.
Yeah. Is I think the one maybe you may add.
Warning: Corky Lotus is not waterproof. Was I bought 2 more anime figures this past weekend? Awesome.
Nice.
It's the same. Right. Actually, no. Because like, there's a bigger one, but that might be. I don't know.
I mean, that looks like that looks like that's it to me.
Yeah, cause I'm thinking. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I do remember is you could see it. You see down in the middle picture where it's like more in the car shape. So right above the picture you got selected, right down below it, you can see it's in the car shape instead of the submarine shape. Or
that one.
No, the one that was right next to that. Go back. Yes. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
See how it's in the car shape? So it was like that. Like he was able to do that with his. Like he was able to put it in the car shape, and then he was able to pull out all the fins, and then he was able to fire the missiles out of it.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, because I think they build quite a few, don't they? Because all I've got, like, not Corgi out, is from China.
Yeah, see right there. There's another one. That like you can see where everything's tucked in. The definitive Bond collection.
Yeah, those look awesome.
Yeah.
If only you can make a toy with the wheels transform. Sean Connery will always be his favorite Bond till 29.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, it was some really interesting stuff that they were doing back then.
Oh, absolutely, man. You know, and it's crazy too. Like Fleming was like a lot of those stories came from stuff and people that he knew, which is kind of even more insane. It just, you know, the way he wrote it, he just amplified certain things, you know, exaggerated it.
Yeah, there's the orange one. He said, "Yeah, there's one picture with the two corgis together, the orange and the white one."
Well,
yeah, those are beautiful.
No, the that one. There's the one from Your Eyes Only that gets blown up. It's a right shame because you're thinking, oh yeah, there's going to be another good like car scene, but it gets blown up and then he uses a Citroen. That's it. Oh no.
Yeah, that was the one thing that pissed me off about my little Corgi Aston Martin. I had that little passenger, the little red plastic passenger was missing from it.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I think it's probably the way it got stored. It probably, the damn ejection seat probably popped out, and my dad didn't notice it. And when he moved everything, it probably got lost.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's like the little and the big one together.
Yep. That's some awesome stuff that they were doing with that.
Here's a good thingy. Because you got the Moonraker shuttle, even though, like, that's not to scale. But that little Nelly, which is called the helicopter thing, which Sean Connery uses. Then the Roger Moore. Spree. Lotus.
Yeah, Banyans. Yo, wankers. And Manly Some Motivation says, For Your Eyes Only was the first James Bond movie that he saw.
Oh, wow. There's a couple of good ones in there. I'd definitely go back and check them out.
You're Walmarting. Oh, no. Be safe. There's a lot of weirdos in Walmart. Wally World is a dangerous place, Curtis. Be careful.
Right.
All right. We're going to start winding this down right now. ETEP is going to be going on pretty soon. So give people that are going to stop on the show a little bit of a break, maybe get something to eat and kind of relax for a few minutes before you jump in and say hi. So I'm going to end. Before we go around the panel and everybody give their outro, I'm going to end with something I haven't done in a while, and we're going to do an old school trivia game. Let's see how many of these you guys can get. Are you ready?
Okay.
You got pen and paper.
All right, here we go.
Nice, man. I got a couple.
You got a couple of them?
Yeah, Dave Thomas, you can't forget. And I couldn't remember Max's name.
I would say I got the first two, but yeah, the last one I didn't even know who it was. And
Yeah,
I
Time
think,
Prophet said Wendy's is only in America, so
yeah, I would say I think Wendy's is like a burger place, but like, yeah, even though I know like Wendy's is a bit, I still don't know who the founder was or whatever.
Oh wow, they have it over there. I didn't know that. In Australia.
yeah. Well, some of these places, I mean, you think about where McDonald's started. I mean, that was all America, and the next thing you know, they're freaking everywhere.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Red Rooster.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's been a long time since Max Headroom's been on the air.
Right. So Red Rooster, do they only serve cock?
Oh, you should ask Liam about that.
That was low hanging fruit.
You're only allowed in early in the morning.
Had the entire Max Headroom series. Nice.
Oh,
all right, we're going to wind it down. I'm going to hand it over to our special guest today. Thanks for stopping in, Mike. I appreciate it, and let everybody know what you got going on and what's coming up next for you.
You know me, but I don't remember smelling you before. Who are you and where do you come from?
Well, Tommy, first I want to say thank you for the invite. It was unexpected, but it was a pleasant surprise. And what's coming up next on Pacific 4 and 4 tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, I will be streaming the 2D side-scrolling fighting game River City Girls. And then Wednesday, it'll be Pacific 4 and 4 Pop Talk at 6 p.m. Eastern with myself and my co-host Baron Norman Tag and Cash Money 007. And then on Thursday, I will be streaming Ace Combat 7. And then after that, Sunday will be the Sunday edition of Pop Talk at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for joining us, Mike. And I kind of figured that you would be in for this one. Transformers related, man. I didn't think you'd want to miss it.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, here I am, 45 years old, and I still like Transformers.
I think that's the thing about it. A lot of these companies and a lot of these people just don't understand the resonance that some of these franchises have had with us. I mean, it's not just a kid thing. I mean, it's like there's certain things that you take away from a lot of these franchises that wind up staying with you for life for one reason or another. And I've talked about it before, whether it was like your first toy was given to you by a relative that's no longer with you, or, a certain experience that you had with friends playing with these things, or just maybe some kind of lessons you maybe got from the cartoons of those characters and the way that they were represented. There's something that is always there that you can hold on to that can mean something to you personally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But thanks for joining us, and I'm glad that you had some fun. And I'm hoping that everybody in the chat has some fun. So now we're going to scoot on over to Vinny. And Vinny, we just got one thing to say.
Don't fuck this up, Mitchell!
Yeah, guys, you can catch me on Vinny Art, Soul Assassin. Yeah, man, listen to him. He says sub to my channel. Please do. I'm also on Rumble. We had an awesome stream last night. Go check it out. It's totally uncensored and longer on Rumble. YouTube, we only did about 40 something minutes over there. So if you want the full gist of what was going on, we went more heavy into politics over there. But we just we let it go. We just spit that fire because Uncle Bollywood doesn't like when we do it over here. So but hey, I'm going to be over on the Place to Be Reviews channel in about a half hour. So if you want to go tune in there, that'd be awesome. In the meantime, we got plenty of awesome comic books you guys can pick up. Shadow of the Kraken still ships right now. It's my newest project. You'll get it immediately. 52 pages. If you want pirates, hot chicks, action, intrigue, suspense, all that great stuff. You got plenty of that in Shadow of the Kraken. We got City of Venus. I'm also working on the sequel to that. If you like post-apocalyptic kind of worlds with really hot chicks, cool science stuff, monsters, all sorts of awesome surprises. tune into that one. Again, the first one still ships. I am currently working on the second one right now. And of course, Through the Woods, hardcover book, 100-page ghost story, ships right away. And again, it's some of people's favorite in the whole kind of indie comic sphere right now. So hell yeah, man. Thank you so much, Tommy, as always. Much love to the panel. Much love to everyone out there in the audience.
Thank you, Vinny. Always a pleasure. Guys, remember, you can always check out all his work. It's in the description down below, just in case you're looking for it. Always a pleasure, Vinny. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Absolutely, bro.
And, of course, we're going to take it on over to our buddy Jens. And, of course, Jens, we can't let you go without your intro.
Well, he don't know talking good like me and you, so his vocabularistics is limited.
Yes, well, not today, because I'm in a Lotus Esprit. So.
My favorite.
But I've got a live stream tomorrow. It's usually between 12 and 2, but it's been mainly about 2 o'clock-ish time, which is, I think, 8 p.m. Eastern. Oh, it could be 9. No, it's 8. Yeah. It's 5 hours. Yeah, so 8 hours Eastern and that. 8 o'clock Eastern. But I do quite a long streams because I've been doing like pumping iron. So I'm going to have some like topics and that, and then pump iron because I've got to a stage where I need to start pumping iron to show like people how to pump iron because it's not easy. And so some people out there might think like going to or getting weights and lifting them and feeling like they're really hurting. Well, that's called no pain, no gain. So I'm showing the YouTube community now what pain and gain's all about. And I've got a Twitter X account or whatever you want to call it at 278 Pedersen.
Thank you, Jens. Thank you for being here. And yes, Jens Stradamus. Yes, Stradamus says, "He who wanks last, wanks best." Jesus, that is the comment of the night. Thank you for that drive-by comment.
Of course, that coming up. Creep.
Drive-by. That is a perfect way to start ending. And what's going on, Lurch Troll? It's good to see you, man. I'm glad you could make it in. And of course, for some of the other panelists that unfortunately were having some issues and couldn't hang out, Decepticons Cave of Comics and Toys was in earlier.
Such heroic nonsense.
Thank you for stopping in and having fun with us. And of course, we also had the Wiener Dog Clan was in the house for as long as he could. Unfortunately, he's having internet issues.
I'm gravely disappointed. Again, you have made me unleash my dogs of war.
Guys, thank you for being here, and thank you to every single one of you in the chat. You all are amazing, and it's always fun to sit there and do these kind of streams and have a little bit of fun. Talk about the old school stuff that matters most to us and the things that we want these companies to be doing right, because we are not going to be buying your products. You're going to be throwing agenda-driven shit down our throats. It's just not going to happen. Uncle Bollywood, you can still go suck it sideways for all the damn shadow banning you were doing on my channel, you cheap son of a bitch. I hope you wind up getting demoted to a floor sweeper in the 7-Eleven somewhere. But everybody else, that you guys are amazing in the chat, all the panelists, you guys rock. Thank you for being here and hanging out with us. Oh, and I almost forgot Trina. How could I almost forget Trina? Thank you, Trina, for being in here. I do appreciate it. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to play her thing, too.
Jesus, it's only the biggest goddamn hole in the world.
Even if she's not here, she still gets it, huh?
Stig.
Oh, and Stig. Jesus, thank you. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah, I know he had to duck out so early. I almost forgot. Stig, prayers to you and your family for everything that's going on. And I hope things get better for you guys and you have some, at least some decent times getting together talking about that person. Thank you, Steve,
absolutely.
for stopping in.
Send the good thoughts.
Yeah, positive vibes, man. Positive vibes every single time. Thank you. Everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with us. And remember, never let anybody tell you what you can and can't say, what you should or should not think, because your compliance and your silence gives consent, and we will catch you next time. And by the way, Disney, you could burn in hell.